Yo, welcome to the MycoGeeky podcast, where we explore the fascinating world of mushrooms and the people who love them. From expert cultivators to passionate foragers, we bring you deep conversations, cutting-edge insights, and everything mycology. Whether you're a seasoned mycophile or just curious, we invite you to geek out with us on the wonders of fungi and join the mushroom movement. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the MycoGeeky podcast, the podcast that goes deep so you can level up your at-home mushroom cultivation game. I'm your host, MycoGeeky. We got a cool show for you tonight. A little timely, a little topic of interest for a lot of people in the community. A paper was released recently in advance, previous or prior to any peer review. It's not officially published, but you know, it got let out of the kennel, and the dog's roaming around and everybody's petting it, and you know, it's biting a couple people's legs, and people are teaching it tricks. And so we're going to talk about this paper that everybody's talking about around what we for a long time thought was Natalensis, Natalensis, the new name. So if you'd asked me yesterday, I would have told you the name was ochraceocentrata. And then today I got to talk to a couple of the guys who actually wrote the paper, and it is ochraceocentrata. So ochraceocentrata. Anyway, as if Natalensis wasn't hard enough, now we get ochraceocentrata. So we're gonna dive in. We're gonna clarify. There's a lot of people that have different levels of understanding about this. We're going to begin from the premise that a lot of people who grow cubes, they know about gnats, and they've maybe grown gnats. And so we're going to go from that point forward. We're going to maybe tell a little bit of the story about how everything kind of turned out the way it was for the longest time until this paper, and just try to put a little clarity around the subject. And of course, to do that, I'm going to have on my favorite taxonomist. I really only have one that I can ask on the show on a regular basis, but I am very lucky to have him talking about Ed Grand PhD. So he's going to be on in just a minute. But first, I got a bunch of cool stuff lately, and I kind of want to show it off. I haven't shown it off yet. When I was at NAMA, got to hang out with the Myco Mamas. Shout out to the Myco Mamas. And they got a new like little laser engraver, and they've just been making all sorts of cool stuff with it. So check this out. So first off, they just made me this little keychain. I don't know if the lighting's going to do it justice. There we go. There we go. Get just a little bit of lighting on that. Little rainbow ghost keychain. And then this is my favorite right here. This is, can we do it like that? It's like a little specimen brush. So, you know, when you're taking pictures of your sexy little mushrooms and there's a little piece of dirt on it, I can brush it off now. I literally just used it with some Gorilla Wizard. Shout out to Chaotic Shaman. Man, I had a beautiful flush Gorilla Wizard the other day. Anyway, pictures on my Discord. You can check them out later. Also want to shout out my buddy, Pheno Dreamers. Am I catching that right? Look at that cool sticker, man. Yeah, he sent me a bunch of cool stuff I've never grown, because he's got all sorts of weird stuff. So that'll be fun to grow out. Shout out to him. And well, oh yeah, Howard of Booming Acres, he sent me a bunch of stuff. Man, we've been having a couple substrate and grain guys on lately. And I can tell you right now that both Howard of Booming Acres and Zerk of Brown Treasure are some great people, and they make great products. So Howard sent me a bunch of stuff. So check this out. I got some K-Relescence going. I did a grain to grain on this guy. So I had a jar of it in, I think it was on Popcorn, if I'm looking and seeing it right. And he's got a 50-50 blend of Milo and whole oats. So I put that on, and then he sent me a bunch of these all-in-one bags. And I knocked this one up with like a year-old liquid culture sitting in my refrigerator from literally last, sorry, we're losing focus there. From last August, I think it was. So it's been over a year. And I squirted a syringe into this thing, and it's taking off like wildfire. It's zap mycelium, so you can't exactly, it's not quite as bright white as cube mycelium is. But anyway, so I've been having fun with that. And just so you guys can see, all his stuff, it comes in, these little vacuum packed bags. So that way, if you order some stuff and it sits around for a while, it retains the moisture, doesn't escape the bag, which is kind of cool. So he's got these big old bags. And then he's got these little guys. So if you're just like, you just want to grow mushrooms for the first time, buy a liquid culture syringe, buy you one of these little all-in-one bags from say Booming Acres. Bam, bam, bam. And yeah, he's even got a little thing. You do scan the QR code and you can check out some instructions on how to grow. Anyway, I thought that was cool. Just wanted to be sure to let you guys all know. Booming Acres has cool stuff. All right, I gotta move all these bins, all these bags. Just gotta set my Zap bag on the floor. I feel so bad. Hold on. All right, but I guess that's where mushrooms grow. They're used to being on the ground. It's all good. All right, guys. So let me get my monitor all set up here. Okay, we're ready to go. All right, you guys ready to do this? Let me see what you guys are talking about in the comments. Oh yeah, ready to go. All right, so without further ado, let me welcome to the show. You guys know him, you love him. Most of you love him. I love him. The one and only Ed Grand. What's up, man?
How's it going, man?
Good, man.
Mostly everybody loves me,
mostly.
man.
I mean, I'm the same way, dude. I just had somebody come at me in my DMs. Oh my God. Yesterday, I sold a sterilizer to a guy a month and a half ago. This is the first time this has happened. And he just starts ripping into me about, I'm ripping everybody off. I'm just like, bro, I don't even promote this shit. I don't advertise it. Like, you bought it. I didn't force you to buy it. I didn't sweet talk you. I didn't nothing. Just, I don't even know you. Out of the blue, you just bought a sterilizer from me. So why you breaking my balls about this? And he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You can get one for $20. I'm like, well, there is a difference between buying a $15 ZVS module, an $8 knockoff power supply, and then comparing it to what I sent you. Oh, well, I mean, and then today, and I was just real nice with him. And then today he apologized and was like, sorry, I was not in a good place last night. I took it out on you. I shouldn't have. And I was like, okay, so it does pay to take the high road and to be a nice person and to just go, okay, everybody has bad days. I'm telling you right now, I did not have a great day today. I had a lot going on today. So it's good to get those moments of going, some people, you gotta give them just a little bit of benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's why I'd never want to be in customer service. I imagine you do that. Just imagine doing that 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day. Jeez.
I'm sorry, sir. What's wrong? Yeah, exactly.
With very little you can do about it, but
yeah.
It's kind of, but it's like one of those things people say, like how people treat servers at restaurants and like probably how people treat customer service. Like it's kind of indicative of like their personality. I mean, I know everybody has a bad day, but it's like, come on, like a lot of people are like that all the time. Over here, you get that constant. Yeah, you get the guys who are constantly like, oh God, Thailand sucks. Why do and it's like, why do you live here? Like there's an airport like 30 minutes away, like you can leave at any time. Like nobody's got you chained to the wall. Like
it's true.
It's their favorite hobby. Like, older, retired, generally like white dudes. That's like their favorite hobby, bitching about Thailand.
Complaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, but now they have very, sort of succinct ways. It's like, very, very, very detailed ways of like, how somebody cut them off at the stop sign or something. And it's like, doesn't that happen everywhere? Like,
right.
But no, then it's like only here. This is like the worst place in the world.
Yes. Man, we're just getting like, I remember when I was young, I was an opinionated lad. But a lot of people weren't. And now I feel like everyone has become me. Everybody has opinions about everything now, and are getting very vocal about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's a change.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I got to adjust the light. Somebody's complaining that I'm too dark. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. I was going to mention that.
1 second.
Do do do. I'll do you guys some elevator music. Do do do
Oh,
do 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 da 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 da
there
da
we go.
da
That's how you
da
know it's
da.
live, guys. Ed forgot to put on his tassels today, so because
Oh,
yes,
I met a girl whose mom made like pasties the other day. She was like she
wow.
like showing all these pictures on her phone, and I didn't realize it was her mom's breasts. I was
Wow.
like, oh, that's an interesting hobby your mom has. I can't
Yeah.
wait to meet her. She's like, oh, she's coming next week. I'll be sure to tell her like, oh yeah, I've seen your breasts pretty much. Like
Wow.
I've seen like 20 pictures of your breasts. How do you feel about that? I'm
Wow.
sure she's very opinionated too.
That's
Like
like
we're
how
gonna.
you feel after you break up with somebody, though, right? I remember when I was a young kid. I wasn't going to use the word lad again. And I remember after breaking up with my high school girlfriend of, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, something like that. Remember seeing her again about a year later. And the first thing that popped into my head was, I used to be able to, see you naked and have sex with you and do, say things. And, it's very weird going from having an intimate relationship with somebody to not having that, right? And
Mm,
so that's similar. You're in the situation where somebody put you in an intimate situation, and now this person you're gonna meet them, and the whole time that's all
mhm.
you're gonna be thinking about, Ed.
Well, they weren't very memorable, so I probably won't be
Oh,
thinking about it that much. It was,
okay.
55-year-old, you know,
Okay.
they
All
were
right.
like the tassels were more interesting than the things they were
Nice.
attached to.
Nice.
Well, I
Yes.
remember one time also I was in Finland, and it was on a mycology trip that we went on, and I had been talking to this guy's wife for like 3 or 4 days. She's fairly attractive, and then we did the black sauna thing, the smoke sauna thing.
Yep.
And immediately, like, I was like in the sauna, and this woman walks in like completely naked, and I'm just like,
Yep.
okay, it's hard making eye contact now, and it was just like completely normal. Like that's what Finnish people do. They just their
Yeah.
wives, world renowned mycologists, their wives walk around like naked in the black sauna. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get up right now. Let me just sit here with this towel over
That
my lap.
see, that is what those couch pillows are for, Ed.
Yes,
Now you know
exactly.
what those are for. Yeah, we had a weird
But
situation in Los Angeles. We got really lucky and got a really affordable nanny for a while, and then we couldn't afford her, and she left us and got a actually decent paying job. But we were still friends with her, and so we were out to lunch with her one day, and she had just got a new job with a new client, and she's like, "So the only weird thing is that the woman is always naked, and she never leaves the house." So she hires me to take care of her kids, but she's there and she doesn't work. She's just doing whatever the hell she wants to naked. I'm
Mm,
like, hey, dude, that woman's paying you more than we ever could. So enjoy it. And, you know, yes.
yeah.
Baron was like, went to the sex talk real quick on this one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
We're trying to juice it up before we get into the banal taxonomic,
yeah.
trenches here. We're just trying to get
Mm.
everybody jazzed up a little bit. That's all.
That erection will go away in like 30 seconds. Don't worry.
There you
Yeah,
go.
unless
Yes.
you got a thing for taxonomy, which would be really, really, really weird.
That's
Like, I
very
don't know.
weird. Yes, like an auditory
We
erotic
we need an
fixation.
OnlyFans, a mushroom taxonomy OnlyFans.
There you
Somebody
go.
mentioned that they had an OnlyFans. I was like, for mushroom stuff. I forgot who it was. It was one of those guys that like hits
Wow.
the mushrooms or something, does the floppity floppity flop thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, he has. Oh yeah, but it's not just for that. I think he does more scientific stuff. You're talking about fascinated by fungi, where he
I'm
taps
not.
the
I'm not
boletes and all that.
sure. I
Yeah.
don't recall who it was.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
they approached him because he had like tons of followers or something, and they just wanted some of
gotcha.
that stream, whatever.
Of course, yeah, man. The clout chasing online, it never, ever, ever ends. Yes, everybody just
Hmm.
wants a little shine from everybody here and there. Oh, speaking of that, I'm stealing North American Mycological Association shine this week. I am hosting a takeover with them. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've done a couple posts today. Today was just like the, introducing me and kind of the tone and all that good stuff. I'm going to whip out the cool mushroom pictures starting tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. If you guys don't follow North American Myco on Instagram, go follow them. See what see what little flavor I'm gonna bring to the table this week. So yeah, shine, clout, right? They got more followers than me, so of course I said yes.
I wish I had an Instagram. They took all my good stuff. Yeah, I think it was the fifth time they disabled my account and then they just deleted it. So it's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna give up on the Instagram for a little while.
Meta is being super not meta. It's being on the frickin' nose. Yes. All right, so I'm trying to think how to segue into this, but of course there is a paper and everybody's talking about it. Everybody, like the serious cultivators, the serious cube cultivators are really interested in this paper. And for good reason, because you and I, we used to talk back in the day, a couple years ago, pretty regularly about this whole Natalensis thing. Now, I'll tell everybody that back then, Ed found a bunch of papers and showed me this and showed me that and got me just to think a little more critically about everything, thinking the way he thinks about stuff as an actual taxonomist, and it was illuminating. So you guys can watch all those old episodes. We went over all that, but more recently, there's been this paper. Not officially published. I talked to 3 of the authors of the paper today, and they all wanted to highlight, like, just so you know, this paper has not been peer reviewed yet. It has not actually been published yet. We do anticipate it will be, but just for clarity, it has not yet. So with all that said, this is they're done with it. They have now given it to peers to review, which is part of that whole sciencey thing that scientists do, is they actually are transparent enough to let people look at their research and offer, critique and criticism. So that's where they're at with this paper. But I have fielded a lot of questions. I would say this paper, more than any other paper, with the exception of one in the last 3 years, seems to be getting a lot of traction. So I thought, let's bring that on and let's talk about what the paper actually means. So how you want to do this? You want me to pull up the paper?
Yeah, man, I've kind of been, as you know, probably kind of apprehensive of this because of the history and how heated of a topic it is. And I know there's people out there literally like hanging on our every word, like waiting
well, we're
for
just
one of us to
talking
make a mistake.
We're just talking about the paper. It's okay. I literally have read this paper a couple times just to get a little familiar with it. So we are not the authorities on anything. We are just people who are doing a podcast talking about what our take is on what we're seeing so far. I mean, I did go through the trouble of trying to reach out and have conversations with the authors. They are talking about, hey, when we actually publish this thing, we'd love to come on and talk more thoroughly about the paper. One was supposed to come on tonight and then something came up. So he's probably not going to be on. But anyway, they all seem like nice dudes. You got 2 people over in South Africa. One of the researchers also did that new paper on the 2 new South African species. I forget the names now, but anyway, we can look at all that here in a little bit. But yeah, so we're talking now about ochraceocentrata. Ochraceocentrata. And now when I was saying ochraceocentrata, that's because my homeboy Scott Astooney schooled me yesterday and he said, we're going with ochraceocentrata. And I loved it. It rolled right off the tongue. I fell in love with it the minute I said it.
It's the Italian.
And then ochraceocentrata. Yes, exactly. But then the South African guy had to go and tell me how they're pronouncing it. And I figured if I'm going to defer to anybody, let's defer to one of the guys in the group of people who just literally named the freaking mushroom. So I'm going ochraceocentrata. Does not roll off the tongue quite as much, but it's okay. Ochraceocentrata. We'll deal with it. All
I
right, so
guess
let me.
that works better with like okra too, like the veg. Some people were saying like
Yes,
okra like the vegetable, so maybe that pronunciation
yes.
rhyme or kind of jives more with that.
Now, yes, that's true. But yesterday, when I thought it was a craceo, I was like, "Ooh, this is cool. Maybe everybody just start calling these things crazies. Like, oh, are you growing any crazies?" Like, I thought that would be fun. But now it's just like, "Are you growing some of that okra boy?" Like, yeah,
Oh
I don't know.
yeah. It's like the
Anyway,
trees, like people used to call them trees. I still hear people call them trees.
oh yeah, exactly.
T- Trees, like the
Yes.
nugs, the trees, there'll be probably 100 different other words that people come up with.
Oh man, every time somebody says that, I used to do a lot of recording for this wannabe rapper in Detroit. I'm pretty sure he's not watching, so he's not gonna be offended. But um, he used to always all his little ad libs was always him like, "Y'all smoke weed by the leaf, I smoke it by the tree, motherfucker." And so every time people talk about that, it's all that goes through my head.
Hmm.
There we go. Michael Mama's got it. Ochraceocentrata. Yes. And the
Yeah,
way I was noticing, um, who was I talking to? Let me see which. Let me make sure I get
you got to
this
be
right.
careful, like dissing rappers, man. You're gonna be, you got some
Oh
songs,
yeah,
man.
it's gonna start some
You gotta
beef.
get shot up.
Yep. Oh, Brayton. So I was talking to Brayton Vander Muir. Mur. I don't know how to say that. I'm not Norwegian, but anyway, I was talking to Brayton. He's one of the authors, and
Oh,
he's one of one of two of the South African researchers that are on the paper. And the way he was saying it, he was like sort of kind of swallowing the co, so it was like ochraceo, ochraceocentrata. So anyway, all you have to do is be like weird taxonomic nerds and just spend like a good 4 hours just methodically and incessantly saying the word over and over again, and by like the 4,000th time you just can't even say it wrong. Just get ochraceocentrata. It's done. There it is. Bam. Okay.
yeah.
That's
The
that's my win
OCC.
for the day, and I have not had many. Let me tell you, dude. You know what I did? Last night I was supposed to go get pick my kid up from a basketball game, and I just pulled into the driveway. I had stopped to go. I can't remember what I was doing, but I had to stop to get something, get out of the truck, go inside. Oh, yeah, I was cooking dinner for the little kids. And in 20 minutes, I get that done. And then I go to leave to go pick up my oldest daughter. And my wife, I say, hey, can I take your car? Because I'm going to bring back all these kids. She's got a bigger car. Sure, yeah, no problem. So I get in the car, I open the garage door, I go to back up. Does my ADHD afflicted brain remember that I literally just parked behind her car in the garage? No, of course I don't. So I just backed right up into my. It's not brand new, but it is a beautiful, excellent condition truck that now is not. And now the passenger door doesn't open without like bumping the front quarter panel. And oh my God, this is what I deal with.
Doesn't does insurance pay for that if you if you
Sure, but
cause
then my
it?
insurance goes up. So no, we got to pay for it. So anyway, I got to beat the shit out of it and try to get it so I can at least open the door. It's really obnoxious. Oh, anyway,
Maybe just go out and get in like a real accident so you can
yes, that is a good
get past
idea.
the what was that called, the minimum thing,
Yes, that the deductible.
the
Wow,
deductible.
you
Yes,
are really just don't
I
live in America anymore,
I
do you?
know, dude. Literally, like people use words when I meet Americans now. They're using all these words. I mean, they're
Oh,
usually younger too, and I'm like, what's that mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't listen to rap music, watch Netflix, or live in America, so I don't really know what anything in the last 10 years means.
Yes, you are not
Uh,
connected.
well, my mental
Yes.
health is like 1,000 times better, also.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yes. All right, so let's pull up this paper. I think I'm going to screen share here. Here we go.
Although, if it makes anybody in America
Window.
feel better, the rest of the world is kind of messed up too. I met a
Yes.
British guy last night, showed up at like 1 o'clock at the bar, just absolutely hammered, and was like going on about his religious tolerances or intolerances. And I was like, wow, 'Cause you guys are in Britain too. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, that's
pretty.
just like for the longest time, liberal Americans kept talking about moving to Canada, but if you talk to a
Mhm.
Canadian, they'll tell you,
Yeah,
well, it might not be much better up here. Might not be worth
yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally. They're leaving Canada too.
everybody's leaving. Yes. All right.
Ton of.
So here we go. Discovery of the closest free living relative of the domesticated quote magic mushroom, Psilocybe cubensis in Africa. Now, I will say this, and maybe you can speak to this, Ed. It is an interesting title. It doesn't have the name of the new mushroom in it. Is
Mm.
that how you taxonomists work? Do you bait people? Are you like the Huffington Post? You're like trying to you want to hook us? Like, oh, what is it? We can't name it. I would have assumed you would put the name in it, but I guess this paper is more than just naming it, right?
Yeah, well, I think maybe there's two things. They might not have done a full literature review to see if the name has been previously used. That would be one thing. I would think in early editions, it's quite tedious to do all go back through 150 years of journals and make sure that that name hasn't the species name hasn't been used. For us, it sounds
Right.
like a really complicated name, but that would probably be a fairly kind of generic name. Like it's the ochre cover,
Right. Right.
ochre colored in the center of the cap. It's not
Yeah.
really that difficult of a name if you know,
Right.
the root of it.
Yeah, if
The
you know
second
Latin,
thing,
it's easy. Yes.
yeah, well, ochre center.
Sure.
But if it was, I'm sure it would have been used for other probably members of the Stropharia. So it's a little bit complicated, the nomenclature. The genus Stropharia, it might have been used for something in that genus, and that
Right.
Psilocybe used to be a Stropharia, and it's way more complicated.
Gotcha.
And the second thing would be, I think they're trying to probably emphasize the fact that they're not really saying it's a new species. Right. So if it was a species novum, they would have like the SP period NOV with species novum. That would be more appropriate to put it in the title.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's because I think they don't want to necessarily call it a new species. Maybe because they're kind of pussyfooting around it,
Sure.
like yeah.
Well,
Like if
and
if you
then
put
this
news,
isn't the peer reviewed paper either. So
yeah,
yeah.
they
So
might add it later.
who knows what
Yeah,
the
once they
title will
get
be, right?
confirmation from everybody and
Right.
everybody's on board, in fact, that it is a new species,
Yeah.
because that's going to cause a lot of heat. Just like even in our sort of amateur community, if you throw like species novum, like
Right.
like Homo michiganensis species novum or something,
Right.
like everybody and their mother's going to be all over that. Like, what are you talking about? I used this name, blah blah.
Right.
Used this name in 1864 for Stropharia. Blah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They might throw it in there later. They might take out the term magic mushroom to put in something like entheogenic
Sure.
fungus or something like
Sure.
that. Unless
It is
they're
it is
looking for
interesting.
clickbait.
A lot of these papers, it's almost like the researcher can't help but contextualize. Like you can't just do research on psilocybe and just say, well, the research hasn't been done. You have to
Hmm.
acknowledge why the research hasn't been done almost. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
like, it's because it's a magic mushroom and nobody wanted,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many like disclosures in these papers have to be like, yeah, we had this guy do it and we got approval and we got her this. And like, you didn't have to do that for lentinus, right? Like you didn't have to get a permit to literally have a lentinus culture in your lab
Right.
because it's illegal.
Yeah, and they
So who
might not
knows?
be looking to publish this in a taxonomic, like mycotaxon or
Oh,
mycologia,
right.
which I don't even know if they publish new species in mycologia
Mm,
anymore. They might be looking to publish it in some more, I don't know what kind of journal, some sort of anthropological journal.
oh,
They did a lot of work, it seems, in the paper to basically describe all the, I don't know, like kind of like what would you call it? The biogeography, I guess,
hmm,
and the
yeah.
things about the migration, and there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, I learned more about like kind of human migration and cattle and things like that.
Right.
Plus, it would be a rather flat. I mean, be fairly straightforward. Most species novum papers are literally like a page and a
Yeah.
half.
Right.
This
Like you
is
really
much.
just have to do the macro and microscopic work
Yeah.
and then now the molecular work and then you would be done, right? That's
Mhm.
not that sexy. Yeah. And,
Okay.
and you're really right. This is not, because first off, this paper, well, no, it isn't. There is no. So this isn't really, this is a paper that's really kind of teasing around what it is, right? A little bit. It's going like, it's not really a novel species paper, but it kind of is a novel species paper. But it's really, like you said, the bulk of the work seems to be around kind of the migration and what the phylogeny of what figuring a couple things out, and then looking at the phylogenetic trees on all this, what that's saying seems to be more the focus on all this, which is cool. And we'll definitely clarify a few things for some people. So for everybody watching who just really wants to get to it, because there have been a few people in the comments here making some statements. At the end of the day, right now, almost exclusively everything you've been growing that you think is a Natalensis, is Psilocybe natalensis, or NSS, is actually this other thing that is now being talked about in the paper, which is ochraceocentrata. So, um, so no
So
one
get
is
out your Sharpies.
right.
Go on.
No one is growing Natalensis
Oh,
except
God.
for a handful of people that, for whatever reason, got very lucky and got their hands on some actual Natalensis genetics. So now they really, and in talking with Brayton, that's like a whole nother paper, which I believe they're working on currently. So this paper is not about Natalensis. So this podcast is probably, to theme it, is about letting go of Natalensis, because you probably didn't grow it. None of us have probably grown it. Not only that, but everybody that thinks there's a cube in Africa, because the first story I was told by this John McGillivray, I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, he's a PhD mycologist in South Africa. He told me, so look, when Gars and all them came here in the 90s, they brought two species back. They brought Natalensis and they brought a cube back, and the cube is actually what the Natal superstrain is. And so everybody thinks they're growing Natalensis, but I've seen all these grows. They're not Natalensis. I don't think really hardly anybody has Natalensis. So that was my earlier understanding. And now it's not that. It's this paper is really saying, and we'll get into it, but it's saying no cubes in Africa, guys. They're saying no cubes in Africa. We got something that looks real close to a cube, but we're calling it ochraceocentrata. So if that's all you guys wanted, you got it. You can go to bed. It's only 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You're done. If you want to get into the paper a little bit more, stick around. That's what we're going to do.
I sent spores there. Does that count? Just like the yellow oysters in in Pennsylvania now,
Right.
it's like those are from Asia. Like everybody thinks golden oysters. So I was like, wow, they're so beautiful. Yeah, they're an invasive species, just like kudzu
Oh
and like
man.
zebra mussels.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, they are the zebra mussels of here. I can tell you that. They are
Yeah.
just dominating.
Do they smell bad? I got a culture from one of the farms here, and even the
Mm.
culture smells. It's a kind of
Eh,
disagreeable smell. I don't
I
know.
eat them. I think they taste good. I don't
Oh, I
recall
do
them.
too.
I don't recall
It,
them smelling bad though. I don't
yeah.
necessarily recall them as being my favorite smelling mushroom, but no, I don't.
I thought
I
the
don't.
fruit were maybe just old, and then I cloned them, and even when I subcultured it, the culture still
Hmm.
has this smell. But I've got a
Interesting.
pretty good sense of smell. I don't know, and I tend to notice those things because
Oh,
some cultures will smell like almonds, or they'll smell like
yeah.
mint. Like there's a
Yep.
weird lentinus that has this sort of minty smell.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Um. All right.
Terps,
So
brah.
it's just the terps, bro. All right. So let's get into this. I'm trying to. I want to. The problem is this paper is doing a lot of contextualization, a lot of analysis of phylogeny throughout history and all that kind of stuff. But where I want to start is more just into the acquisition of holotypes, and in testing of those and all that good stuff. So here we go. So let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah. Okay. So for materials and methods, collections and sampling, 6 collections of mushrooms resembling Psilocybe cubensis were collected across Zimbabwe and South Africa. That was by Kathy. I forget her last name.
Stirp or something like that.
Sharp. Yep. Okay. Kathy Sharp.
Yeah, Sharp.
Yeah, she's in Zimbabwe. So I'm assuming she collected most of this. I could be wrong. I'll stand corrected if I am. But it says across Zimbabwe and South Africa, occurring on or near decomposing herbivore dung. So when I was talking to Brayton today, he said, so our ochraceocentrata, he said, he was telling me a story about how he was at a rhino preserve and they were growing, he said hundreds of them were growing on this rhino dung. And he said he's heard reports that it also grows on zebra dung and of course horse dung. So we don't got no rhinos over here, so nobody's gonna have any special rhino dung substrate to sell for the time being.
There you go.
For the time
there's
being,
a market.
Yes. There you go. There's an idea, guys. All collections were made on public or private land with the owner's permission. Sporocarp collections were air dried over low heat, preserved from insect damage, using naphthalene. All other voucher details and deposition. Blah blah blah. Okay, so here are all their, this is
naphthalene for anybody who doesn't know is mothballs.
Yeah. I have never. I
Don't
guess
dry your
because
mushrooms
we're trying to ingest our
mothballs.
mushrooms, so we really
Yeah,
nobody's trying to get that mothball minty fresh scent.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, this table, here's science, guys. This is the joys and the sexy nature of science. Is all this documentation about all their specimens that were collected. So then they did the genomic sequencing. They talk in here about cleaning up the DNA and all that stuff. So this is the whole transparency of science. They're explaining exactly how they did everything. So some other mycologist can read through it and go, well, why did he do it like this? And oh, it shouldn't have been negative 20 Celsius. It should have been negative 22 Celsius, right? But that's what science looks like. And then they did the barcoding. So they were using, so again, because we're talking about species, they're mostly concerned with ITS, but then they're also using, different parts of ITS. They were using LSU, RPB, I think a few other regions, conserved regions around, what is that called, Ed? Something 18? What is that? The region?
Oh, the ribosomal DNA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole section.
The 28S and the 18S, I think.
Yeah. Oh, here it is.
Different sizes
here
in
it is.
bacteria.
Yeah, the RPB 1 and 2. So and then just for clarity here, right? They get real specific. They even let you know where they're trimming the motifs. They're naming the motif in the sequence, just so everybody can go back and figure all this crap out, see if they like what everybody was doing. Oh, I'm sorry, not 18, 5.8S is what I was thinking about. So, and then they explain everything, right? Like they're using MAFT, and they don't just say they're using MAFT to align their sequences. They're using MAFT version 7.490. So, right, they're going through, they're explaining how they're figuring out all this stuff, and then how they're creating their phylogenetic trees. And then now this is where Brayton came in, and he was doing a lot of work figuring out how old all this crap is. Right, like so all the different little parts of the ITS, they're trying to figure out how old it is. So here we go.
So that might be an interesting point to make, is that those whole molecular clock things are based on a lot of kind of presumptions, and those dates that they got. That was one thing. I think they're pretty brave to put those dates and talking about the migration times and things like that. Because all that stuff is pretty contentious. I mean, if you look at anthropology, even human paleontology or whatever, those dates constantly change.
That's like 1 year, it's like, oh, human beings were birthed 4 million years ago. And then 3 years later, it's like, no, it was 4 billion years ago. And yeah.
They're
Those
all
things
over
can
the
change for
place.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just doing the best they can at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And all
Well,
that'll
and so
keep
those
getting better.
molecular clocks, the way they based it, the way they work basically is you assume there's a certain number of changes over a certain length of time. Let's say one base pair change
Right.
every 10,000 years or whatever, and you calibrate the clock based on that. And it's
I
different
see.
for different regions and things like that. Whether it's an intron, an exon, it's a lot of assumptions in there
Right.
or whatever. But yeah, they did. It's I'm not deterring from it. It's just that a lot of that stuff is very, very, I don't know, subjective. I guess you could say almost.
Right. So yeah, this is all the real dense stuff about how they're figuring out what they're figuring out. And they're talking about how they use different models for all this. They did microscopy on it. They did the morphological analysis. So then here, let's get into the results. So they were looking at ITS, EF1A, RPB2, all recovered from African specimens, originally identified as P. cubensis, and then Natalensis, all these other monophyletic groups, sister to a clade-containing sequences from the holotype of Stropharia cubensis. So hold on, let me get through here.
That's how you
To
know
the
you're a
juicy
real
part.
OG cultivator if you still call it Stropharia.
There you go. Then you're really old school cultivator. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So a thing of note, and that I got clarity on, was that they, and I talked to the main researcher on this one, because Brayton didn't know this for sure. So back in the day, I can't even remember who told me this, but somebody told me they thought that the holotype for Natalensis was in Berlin. And Ed, you back in the day were telling me like none of this matters. Nobody's sequence means jack shit if you don't have the holotype sequence to compare it to. Otherwise, you're just doing work that never really means that much. So I was like, okay, so you found this holotype. Where is it? It was not in Berlin, but it was not far away. It was in an herbarium in Leipzig, which is just a little south of Berlin. So whoever told me that, they were not too far off. They were definitely in the right region. So then they get into talking about here about how sequences on GenBank, were not matching these other species. So then they start talking about. Let me get down here. All right, no, I don't want to. I don't want to get into that one too much. Hold on. Where is it? Here we go. All right, guys. So let me make sure you can see this. Cool. So top here, you got cubensis. We've seen them. We've grown them. We love them. And then here we go. Ochraceocentrata. Not looking too different. I don't really feel terrible for everybody getting it wrong. Of course we got it wrong. I mean, look at it. It's not looking too different. It grows on dung. It's got the partial veil hanging there, like a sexy little skirt. Coloring is pretty similar. These are not far off. And then if you look in the top corner here, hold on, I'm going to share a different thing real quick. So here you got cubensis, and in the same clade, ochraceocentrata, also not too far distantly related to Natalensis. And then I'm assuming this is Chinese. What is this? Hooksungensis or something?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
Chuxionsis.
Chuxion. Okay.
I just saw it was from the Yunnan, China.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually the guy, one of the authors on that paper is the guy I used to work for.
Oh, cool.
But he does marine fungi, but he's got lots of graduate students that do
Right. Yeah, it can
other
help them
stuff.
out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is one of those. Yeah, I feel uncomfortable looking at stuff like this.
Why?
Uh, It's
All right.
uh,
Hold on. Let me make sure. Yeah,
yeah.
screen
Should we
load.
have
Okay.
the lumper versus splitter discussion?
Sure. Yeah. Let's get into that.
Yeah,
Yeah. How
graduate
about you? How about
students
you
real.
talk about species in general, like biological species concept, other concepts, stuff like that. Because I'm sure a lot of people watching tonight maybe didn't catch our discussions on this before.
Yeah, so there's basically three major species concepts. There's the morphology. Well, there's actually like 25, but they're all pretty much like at some point sort of converge on these three basic ideas, which is morphology, biology, which would be mating and whatnot, and phylogenetic or DNA based sequence concepts. And you hope at some point that those three concepts also converge on the same conclusion.
Right.
That doesn't always happen for a variety of reasons. It can go one way or another. Maybe if you look at two mushrooms and you say, well, those look exactly the same, they've got the same macromorphology, the same micromorphology. You can say things like, well, maybe they grow in different habitats or they fruit at different times of the year. This would be more, I guess, trying to elegantly explain it like bird migrations. Like if you've got a penguin that goes to an island in, oh, I don't know, January,
Right.
and they do their mating thing, and then you've got another penguin that comes in February, and they never have a chance to mate with each other. Sometimes we call those cryptic species or sister species. There's a lot of different words. Or you could just call them different species. Because even though if you put them together at the same time, maybe they could breed with each other. So they would be the same biological species, but there's that separation. Same thing with like people know about like probably salamanders and things like that. Salamanders, they need a moist, humid climate. Sometimes like so if you've got a mountain range and you've got two river basins, you'll often get two species of salamanders on either side of that mountain because they're not going to climb over the mountain, right?
Right.
So even though they look
Only the
really,
really
really,
jacked
yeah,
salamanders
the
can
ones
do
that
that.
the hormone replacements.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Or
go.
maybe if they get scooped up by a bird or something like that and like taken to
Uh,
the other side.
there
But
you
yeah,
go.
all that kind of stuff. Mountain ranges, oceans, island biogeography they call it. Certain things on islands are going to obviously be separated. Though even something that might look similar morphologically, they're going to be separated just by time and space. And then you have problems, and then so you have to develop new species concepts. So you can't use, say, a morphological species concept. So when you have two salamanders that look exactly the same, and so what this does is it forces researchers to look for other differences,
Right.
because they know that they're two different species, or at least they're not interbreeding. So then they start looking at things like DNA, and a lot of times, I hate to say it, but that's become the go-to. Like if I'm a graduate student or a professor who needs to publish papers, and I want to separate species, because everybody loves new species, right? I
Right.
mean, just like you said at the beginning, right? If they
I
would put
love it.
species novum in there, everybody loves it.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is most of the time it's completely artificial. Like if you would have went back and talked to a human anthropologist, or whatever sociologist 150 years ago, they would have separated Homo sapiens into probably five or six different species,
I
right?
mean that actually explains quite a bit of human mentality around some pretty ugly
Yeah.
mistakes that we made, right? Like,
Mm,
I mean, I watched this great HBO special called "Exterminate All the Brutes." It's a rough one to watch
mm,
because it tells the story pretty plainly. But back in the day, I mean, these European whites did not think that
mm.
African people were the same species. They literally didn't think that.
So some of those brave researchers decided to breed with them, and
I was gonna just say until all these kids started happening, and then they figured it out.
yeah,
Yes, but yeah. So how
the
do you
forefront. They
how
were
do
at the
you differentiate that, right? Like to me, this is and fundamentally every big debate, abortion, social security, liberal conservative, all this stuff, this will never die because they're complicated and There's a lot to it, and there's no clear cut answer. It isn't just what's 2 plus 2. Oh, it's 4. Easy. There you go. There's a lot to it, right? So if you have two salamanders and they have different DNA, let's just say for whatever that means, but their ITS is different or whatever. The molecular biologists, all these genomic guys, they go, nope, two different species. But if you put the two of them together and they mate and they create offspring, so the two different species look the same, do the same thing, they breed. All that's different is somehow the DNA juice is just different. Why does that need to be a different species? I don't know why.
So taxonomists can have jobs, and so professors can write papers to get grants.
Sure, exactly.
That's why. Like one of the most like anticlimactic things you can do as a graduate school, as a graduate student, is start synonymizing stuff. Like, well, like these are all the same thing. Like I did it during I synonymized linguistii, which is from Argentina, with something from Louisiana because they had exactly the same DNA sequences. I took monokaryons. This is like 25 years ago. I took two monokaryons, I mated them together, and I fruited them. And I came to the conclusion based on not only the fact that they were biologically compatible, they were morphologically very, very similar, and that they also produced, they produced fertile offspring, and their DNA sequences were the same. So there's nothing you can do at that point. As much as I hated to break it to the guy down in Argentina. I think Alberto Lechner, I think was his name.
Mhm.
I saw him later, like 5 years later, actually quoting me and being like, "Oh, look, Ed, Ed synonymized my species." No, but if you're a taxonomist, this is like part of the game. This is just part of the game.
Sure.
It's like you win, three out of the seven games. It doesn't matter. It's that fourth game. That's the one that counts. And so if you're a taxonomist, you just get used to this stuff. So I find it a little fascinating, almost comical that like in the cube community we get like this fervor about this name change. This stuff happens every day
Yeah.
for taxonomists, and it can go one way or the other. You can synonymize stuff or you can like make new species, but it's obviously more exciting if you find a new species.
That one is
But
sexier, yes. But the whole deck shuffling does seem to be pretty ongoing. Just when I
oh,
just
oh
when I
yeah.
get a name memorized, I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna call blue something else now. Oh, okay, that
Oh,
Cortinarius is this Cortinarius. Okay. Yeah, it seems to be happening a lot.
if people think this is the end of the story, no, this will be
Right.
going on for 20, 30, 50 more years. And as soon as
Or
somebody finds another DNA sequence that shows like some way you can separate, like, oh, maybe it'll be like albinos from brown cubes, like they'll be on top of that and be like, look, we figured out a way to like taxonomically separate these things. That's probably not going to happen, but
right.
I find that also funny that it's more than acceptable for us to be like, look, an ape is the same species as a GT. Like when you look at those, like if you were to take those to a professionally trained taxonomist and be like, here's my ape and here's a GT. No, these are the same species. I know they're the same species.
Right.
Like, and you trying to rationalize that to a taxonomist or even like an alien or somebody like that that had no familiarity with the cube world and what we've done with them. And that, a Louis Vuitton and a, McKinney and a whatever, a tap black cap. These are all the same species. Like we know
So
that.
what you're saying is we're all wannabe taxonomists with no degrees.
Kind of.
We kind of, yes.
I mean,
Now,
I don't want to be mean about it, but it's a bunch of people like kind of really being very verbose about stuff they really don't
sure,
have any idea about what they're talking about.
agree.
It's a little bit, it'd be like me trying to explain to like somebody how to like take down a Tesla, like whatever car. I don't even know what the fuck is in a Tesla. It would be like me reading a book about like model airplanes or car or electric motors and trying to explain to someone what a Tesla is and how it works. Like
Well,
it's
Ed,
that kind of.
you're making the assumption that anybody in the world these days gives a shit about anybody's expertise.
That's true. I forgot.
because I don't have to be an expert on
That's
anything
right.
anymore because I have this now.
Look at Google and Chat GTP. Yes. GPT. GTP. What is it?
Yes. GPT. I don't know what that
In
stands
fact,
for.
I'm not
but
even real now, you guys. You know, look, want me to hold up my right hand? What
you
do I
won't.
have to do? Look, my hands are. I'm an AI
Yeah.
generated
There you
Ed.
go.
This
Pretty
is not
soon it
really
will.
Ed.
Yep. It'll just be you just program the AI. It watches some of your live streams and then it learns it. And then you just type a prompt that says generate live stream podcast content for the next 17 years. And then and upload it for me. And yep, we are literally it's all about to get real weird real fast. Yes. But no,
They're
so
scamming people here now with the
oh
video AI.
yeah.
Even here, there's like poor 60-year-old women like getting
Yes.
scammed already. There was one here that it was actually a police officer, and they were like video calling these people like last week, and it looked like really, really, really convincing. Like,
Oh
just
yeah.
like believable. It was like, and they scammed a bunch of people
They
already.
I mean, I follow a couple Instagrams that keep up on all this stuff, and the video processing they have now, they can literally take like you can have your hand and you can just make it go like this and do stuff, and then you can say take this video and turn my hand into an ostrich's head, and put him in South Africa and have him roam around eating bugs using the movement I just showed you, and it'll do that. It's insane. Like doctors, lawyers in Hollywood are about to be very different real soon.
And
It's
porn.
very
Don't
weird.
forget porn. That's all.
I tried, I tried to, but you remind me. Yes.
Let's try to keep that stuff where it belongs in the porn world.
I don't live in Bangkok, China, or Bangkok, or Thailand. Yeah, I
No.
do not live there. That is not. I'm in
No,
boring.
they don't need
Akron,
AI
Ohio.
here. The real stuff is here.
Correct.
The
There
good
you
old
go.
traditional, like here we have real old traditional smack addicts and tweakers and prostitutes.
Exactly.
That's the way it should be.
Yes. Oh man. But I sit back and think sometimes about all this, like when I'm looking around and I'm going, oh, do I remember this genus and am I identifying this mushroom right? And there's always like the mushroom tripping wisdom voice in my head is always going, none of this shit cares if you know what it's called. None of it does. Like our ancestors,
God.
we knew what it all was, but we didn't necessarily even need to call it a name. We just knew pick those orange ones, they taste good. That white one will kill you.
That's so funny.
It didn't, right?
You've been to like those forays where there's those couple people that like know every name and they become like this sort of like this weird oracle of knowledge. They're just like sitting over there in the corner at the ID table. Just like it's like there's this weird aura around them. I mean, it's really cool for a little while, and then you're like, it's not really that. It's like my friends remember basketball stats.
It's a
Like
magic
they
trick,
probably
dude. It's a magic
like
trick, right?
they know what like high school LeBron James went to and like how
Sure.
many free throws he made in like his
St.
first game.
Vincent's, 17. No, I'm
See,
kidding. No, I made
no,
that up.
oh no, I
No,
wouldn't be surprised.
I got the
really
score
wouldn't
right,
be.
but I think I got the
So see, that's it. Like what?
yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah,
your
man,
wife's
but a
birthday?
lot of sports people love the stats. They're statisticians, man. They love remembering all that and analyzing the stats. I mean, some of these people that work for these big professional sports teams, they're like little computers processing statistical information and analyzing how everybody will work together. Oh yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, nature doesn't give a shit about that. The
Yeah.
reason we need to know what to call something is let me see if I can find it in this paper real quick, and then I'll pull it up. But one of the really cool points it made was at the end. My favorite part as a non-scientist, my favorite part is the discussion. That's usually the part I can make the most sense of.
Yeah.
But where is it here? Let me get to it. The discussion is long at the end.
That's a good point. This is all about communicating, it's not
Yeah.
really about who's right or who's wrong. It's the same reason why we give. I mean, that's another good point in the paper is that, a lot of this has been based around not only misidentifications, but also misapplication of names.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a lot of, it's just like you give, if I show you a picture of a dog and I say, this is a Doberman Pinscher or Pincer or whatever, and it's not, it's a Labrador, but I tell you it's a Doberman. Like that doesn't, you're not dealing with the right information, right? I've
Bro,
misinformed you. And
yeah,
so,
you just reminded me of every day when somebody goes, "What is this species, Geeky? What is this? What is that?" They told me it's this, and I had a guy go, "Look at the stormtroopers I just grew," and I'm like, "That ain't what stormtroopers look like." I might not know every
mhm.
cultigen, but I know the guy who figured those out, and I grew the very early isolations of them, and what you got ain't that. So somebody else named something else the same damn thing, which goes to the point you made earlier, right? Which is naming something matters, what you name it, because you don't want to conflate and confuse. And so, like you're saying, they got to go through and it's got to be vetted to make sure that the name you're picking jives and works in the broad scheme of taxonomy. You don't want to have 5 stormtrooper cultigens, just like you don't want to
Mhm.
have 2 ochraceocentratas. So
Mhm.
yeah. But all right, I think I found it here. At the end, where is it here?
I'm going to try to make my screen bigger. I hope it doesn't do anything weird. Good.
All
There we
right,
go.
I can't find it, but so anyway, we can just talk about it, and while we talk about it, I'll look for it. Um, it was saying like, so look, we figured out everybody thought they were growing Natalensis. They were actually growing this other thing, ochraceocentrata. That the previous debate was really, is it a cube or is it a gnat? And now the debate is really, it was neither. It was this other thing, and y'all don't know what you're growing. And then they had a statement, I'm going to look for it and find it, that was basically amounted to, so like take for example legislation in these states where it's legal to grow if you follow the rules. um, all that legislation dictates the species, right? It's like Psilocybe cubensis,
Oh,
sometimes it
yeah.
even dictates the
Mm.
strain. And so
Mhm.
if you got a commercial grower there growing ochraceocentrata because it thinks, that person believes that's a cubensis and it's not.
Mhm.
This is where, this is the functional, purposeful, important reason why it matters, especially for us, right? Because everything we grow, we're consuming and people are consuming. So
Mhm.
it probably is good to have a general idea what you're growing.
Right.
This is from Africa. It's like a cube. It's not quite a cube though. Or all
So
these
if
other things.
if I need to go to court, I can make a pretty strong argument for that. No, I'm growing Stropharia, not Psilocybe.
There you go.
It's
Yes.
no, it's
No.
actually an agaricus. If you go back to Freeze 1776, it's actually an agaricus, which includes the genus or the species Bisporus, which are in fact edible mushrooms that you put on your
Yes.
pizza. So in
Yes.
fact,
It's funny you say that. I'm going to pull this up. Hold on.
it's just a gilled mushroom. It's
There
agaricus.
you go. All
There's
right. So
nothing.
let me
I
show
don't.
you this. All right.
But for
Pull it
real
up
though, when it
on.
comes to especially even prescribing, if this ever gets to a point where people are prescribing medicine, they will probably try to differentiate their medicine from another
Of course.
medicine based on its species
Yep.
delineation or maybe even some metabolite that might be particular to this species. Like we've kind of went through this with the Natalensis, which I think is a little bit funny that it's like a lot of people have been making a lot of kind of statements that are, I don't know, it's not only like a name thing. I think we need to address that. Maybe attributing, yeah, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't even get into that. But there's things that like people need to be a little more careful before they start jumping on.
Now, so here's right, but here's
Cause
I know where you're going with that. We don't have to go all the way down that road, but I'll just say this. We are like the equivalent of the supplement industry, right? We're
Mhm.
utterly unregulated. So, you got the FDA, they're looking at real pharmaceuticals. The standards and criteria there are on a whole nother level than somebody that's growing some herb in their garden. They dry it, they crumble it up, they put it in some capsules, and they charge $80 a bottle for it. There's no regulation. And then they're going, it cures cancer. It does this. It does that. I follow a couple people on Instagram. They're always like, you don't need anything. All you need to do is get a good night's sleep and a lot of sunshine and then drink this herbal tea I make. And, you'll never get sick a day in your life. And then 3 weeks later, they're in the hospital. It's like, okay, it don't work that way, man. What are you going to do? So we're like that. We're completely unregulated. So everybody can say whatever they want to say. And if they're good at saying it, if they got the razzle dazzle, right, they get everybody's attention real quick. Yeah. Anyway, I pulled up this photo because you were talking about going way back to Agaricus. And it's funny because...
That's an Agroscipy.
There you go. Brayton was like, he said, so here's photos of a very recent collection that match the holotype for Natalensis. So now, sorry, we're moving off ochraceocentrata to Natalensis, and he sent me this because I was like, man, if you're doing that and you're working on a Natalensis paper, can you just send me, I want to frickin' see one. Can you just show it to me? So he sends me these photos from a Mushroom Observer post, and I'm like, oh shit, I've seen these photos. Okay, okay, thank you for telling me what it is. But he said, yeah, it kind of looks like an agaricus. So I thought, you saying that, right? Like it just goes back to even understanding, like when you go to school, there's a reason they teach you that the scientific evolution of a field, right? It is important to walk you through the changes so you understand where all this shit comes from. Like, oh, I get why they thought it was an agaricus, and now I get why they thought it was a cube. And yeah, like, right, we're clarifying, re-rendering our understanding at any given time. But at every given time, me as a layman, I'm just thinking, like, all we really need to do is just make sure we're talking about the right population. So your salamander example, right? Does it matter if you lump them or split them? It doesn't unless the paper you're writing is about the ones on the east side of the mountain versus the ones on the west side of them, right? Like there are only certain instances when that clarity is a big deal, and sometimes it's not. Right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, like with the salamanders, like maybe that watershed you're trying to get protected. And so it behooves you to say that there's a unique species that lives there so that you can protect that species. Whereas if it's just like, oh, it's a fucking blue jay or whatever, a pigeon, like you're like, nobody really gives a shit. But if you're like, that's the blue spotted, not the like teal spotted
it's the
salamander.
Red scarlet herringbone chickadee. Yes, exactly.
It sometimes has like more mischievous like things behind it too.
Yeah,
but
man,
I think one thing we should
thought about that. Yes.
Oh, it's a big deal. Like if you can get like, say they want to make a Walmart and you can find a species that lives in that like little plot of 2 acres or whatever, done. Like Walmart can't fucking make their parking lot there because you're going to destroy that habitat for that new species. And
the new savvy scientists, dude. The scientists now are not, they're not just holding their Erlenmeyer flasks over a Bunsen burner anymore. They are sitting back and they are slick. They actively
promoted that in the ecology. I don't want to say, but where in the ecology departments and evolutionary biology, they actively promoted that attitude. Like the more things we can find, the more numbers we get on our species list, the more like varieties or subspecies or whatever. It's like instead of having like 850 species, you've got 2,000 now. And like nobody's going to destroy 2,000 species, even though they're all just like variations on like, an earthworm. It's like, but I think one thing too, like people should remember, we're not trying to be critical or anything. These are all learning opportunities. Like we need to learn as a community that this is the kind of stuff we're going to have to address and continue to address. I get a feeling it's oftentimes this tribalism thing that comes through in so many aspects, it seems like, of American culture now. Like nobody's right, nobody's wrong. it's like this is a learning, it's a continuum, and we
Except
need to
for
think
me,
of
and
it.
I'm right. No.
I know
Yes. Right.
exactly, and me on Wednesday and
Yes.
Thursday, I'm right,
There you go.
but but we got to look at this as like a learning experience. And I see a lot of people on Facebook already, they're getting in these heated debates
Oh,
about you're
dude.
right, you're wrong, and it's like, wow, you guys really you guys remember we're growing magic mushrooms. So, shh.
I
It's
know,
not that
man.
fucking serious, man.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So one of the big points that I thought was really cool in the paper was this idea, and it reminded me of a paper that we've talked about in the past that you sent me that also echoed the same concept, which was, hey guys, since everybody's going to start really wanting to mess around with this psilocybin mushroom stuff, we should probably make sure we know what ones we have and what ones we're growing. And so I think that's a huge thing. I think it's important. And to piggyback off that concept, Michael Mamas brought this up, and I have the papers queued up. There might be more, but I have two queued up. I want to pull up and show everybody because it presents an interesting situation here. Hold on.
What was that name of that thing this they tried to do with like all the weed strains too, and then they tried doing something with the Silat. It was like the Cannabipedia or something like that.
That one, yeah, yep. I don't remember. But
They had
all
a
right,
funny name for it.
so Michael Mamas asked about there was some research around anti-inflammatory properties of Natalensis, and what does that mean for this new paper? So okay, I'm going to show you guys this paper. This was 2020. Yeah, so there's two papers. This 2020 paper, phytochemical cytotoxicity, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory effects of Psilocybe natalensis. Magic. See, Ed, they put magic mushroom in the title too. It must be like a selling point or something, I guess. I don't know.
Probably.
I think you change the title depending upon where you hope to get published, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Probably. Okay, so but I want to show you this here. So I'm scrolling down. Introduction, blah blah blah. Okay. God, where is it?
Yeah, they're probably, if it's like going to occur in like Time or People magazine, they're probably not going to put like ochraceocentrata species novum.
Right. Yes. All right, here we go. Okay, so at the top here, the study aimed at investigating the cytotoxicity and accident for the first time anti-inflammatory effects of Natalensis mushroom, commonly known, and here we go, Natal super strength, which is one of the well-known psilocybin mushrooms in the family Sphaeriaceae and genera of Psilocybe that grow in South Africa. Blah 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 blah. So here it says Natalensis mushroom spores were identified and authenticated with a SKU number. Is that how you verify spores? No, a SKU number?
A stock keeping unit?
Yeah. Yeah, right. NSS1 by the Spore Spot Company in Durban, South Africa. So, and I talked about Ed almost a year ago on this one. I was like, so the hard science that was done in this paper, it's naming Natalensis, but there's no rigorous way it's proving that this is Natalensis. They're not actually verifying it. They're totally trusting the Spore Spot Company that if they say it's Natalensis, and we now know, odds are it is ochraceocentrata. So all the anti-inflammatory properties that we've been crediting to Natalensis might or might not exist in Natalensis, but we wouldn't even know because what we've been ingesting and consuming have been ochraceocentrata. So that's where I'm at with that. I don't know your thoughts on it, but based on everything in this paper and the new paper, odds are, I mean, I wouldn't know unless, we grew out those specific spores from that place and proved it, but it seems like it's not, or it could be a cube. Who knows?
Yeah, okay, well, I got a better idea. What if you just replace, Natalensis with cubensis? These are
Right.
just LPS. These are just mushroom extracts. Anything related to cubes, whether it be ochraceocentrata, whether it be Natalensis, whether it be any cube, is going to have the same exact effects.
Ah. All
This
right.
is
So
not anything particular to Natalensis. This is kind of
right.
my point is, and I've seen this paper referred to like 1,000 times. And I hate to say it, but if you took Natalensis and you replaced that with cubensis and you did that same procedure with any cubensis, you would get the same results.
All
It's
right.
nothing particular to Natalensis. This would be like saying, like, there's a huge difference between, like, I don't know, different strains of Hericium, or it's not really, it's any, that's kind of like an advertisement, if you're
Now,
selling,
why
for
are you
instance, that.
saying that? I know your background is in chemistry, so you're probably got a few
Well, if you're
things
selling
that.
Natalensis spores, this is what's going to happen. Like, there's people sell Natalensis spores,
Sure.
and we both know that as soon as those go on the market, they're going to sell out. Because I've already had two people
Oh,
just
sure.
this morning asking me if I had Natalensis, the real Natalensis.
The
So it's
real.
marketing. It's marketing.
Sure.
And there's no reason to have Natal Super Strength in particular in that paper. It could be any other thing. It's just another kind of cube. There's no logical reason to think something that close related on a phylogenetic tree would have different medicinal
I
properties.
see.
It doesn't make any sense.
Gotcha. That makes
It,
sense. Okay. All right. So
yeah, it's
here's another paper then. Just let me reference it here real quick if I can pull it up. All right. So this is anti-inflammatory effects of 4 psilocybin containing magic mushroom water extract in vitro, blah 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 blah. Okay. And all these things do a pretty good but very like laboratory based way of proving all this. They're testing blood for different inflammatory markers and all this kind of stuff. But I thought this part was particularly interesting under growing the mushrooms and making water extracts. So here, again, they reference Psilocybe natalensis, commonly known as Natal super strength. So you got 2 papers that are referencing that. So did they just have a cubensis? I don't know. I had both what I was told at the time by somebody I definitely trusted. I was given both a NSS strain and a Natalensis strain, and they definitely look different. And the NSS was obviously hands down a cube. It
oh
was a cube.
yeah.
So
Well, and it
so
mates with everything. There's been
and
dozens. I've
sure,
mated both of them a dozen times with different things.
right.
So my point here is that the spore company is mentioned again. Spore Spot Durban. They don't just say an A plus strain, an
Oh no, that
albino
one
A
just
plus.
said
They
Natals. It didn't.
particularly
Oh, did it?
they mention their spore company, the same spore company again. The Spore
Where?
Spot
Oh,
Company,
holy
Durban,
shit!
South
It does. You're
Africa.
right. Oh
This is
my
what I'm
god!
saying. These are
Did they
glorified
fund this?
Yes. Oh, yes. They clearly,
Holy
clearly someone
shit,
on the
dude!
paper is associated with that company.
Oh
They
no
didn't say
shit!
just out and a SKU number.
You're
Come on,
right, dude.
they've given the SKU numbers. They didn't just say, "Oh, golden teachers,"
Bro,
or yeah. This
bro,
is
stop.
these are
I
glorified
get it now. I get it.
advertisements.
I get it. I believe you.
Because
Glorified
somebody's gonna
advertisements.
make a fucking buttload of money and pay
There you
off their
go.
mortgage when
Right?
they've got that Natalensis. I'm sure there's a
Yeah, they'll
queue of
get their
a
mortgage paid off
thousand.
just in time to get rated because they told the Oregon government they were growing cubes and they're actually growing ochraceocentratas. Yeah, get that
They
mortgage
should
paid off
hire
in
me
time to
for
go to
legal
jail.
advice, man. I'll go in there and make
Uh,
the argument that this is really a stropharia.
yes, yes.
This is never mentioned.
Oh,
Some
yep.
other, there's some, oh, it's a
That's fascinating.
nematoloma. Nematoloma. This is a nematoloma, god damn it. It can grow off wood too.
Oh my
Just
gosh,
dung.
that is so funny.
But yeah, I say that's what I'm saying about these anti-inflammatory things. It's like it could be any mushroom extract, virtually any mushroom extract. These beta glucans and all of these things.
Sure.
I mean, I've been listening to a lot of the stuff, even about the arenacenes and the hericinones or whatever. These people they're starting to backtrack on these because they're like, you look, these things that were supposedly this like, kind of panacea of new medical treatments, they're like backing off on it because they know that these things can't be proven like in a proper like medical context. These purified, there's like 157 different whatever
Right.
polysaccharides. They know that this is like it's a bit of I don't know, like, traditional medicine. And yeah, there's nothing. I mean, this doesn't make any sense, right? There's nothing. I think this is what's gonna we need to like remember too is that just, there's nothing really fundamentally different with Natalensis and ochraceocentrata, whatever. Now I'm forgetting how to say it.
Ochraceocentrata, Ed. Come
Ochracio. Yeah,
on.
now that you said to say it a different way, I'm screwed up.
Oh, I know, me too.
Ochraceocentrata. There's no real big difference. Cubensis is going to be just have the same. If you believe that the Natalensis or what used to be Natalensis has anti-inflammatory properties, any cube is going to have the same exact medicinal properties.
I am inclined to think that generally speaking, you are absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. It's the same with like when you, right? Do you remember back in the day, calcium supplements? For all of a sudden it was, no, it's got to be oyster shell. Got to be oyster shell calcium. No. It's got to be this shell and that source. And right in the supplement game, they differentiate by where does it come from. Oh, this is ground up whale bone. This is a orca perineal skin graft, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just gets more and more absurd. And if you've gone to China, you really know how absurd it gets. It can be like, oh, you need a turtle's tail, but it can't be any turtle. It's got to be a 2-year-old turtle that's found on the north side of a stream. And if you eat a ground up piece of that, it'll cure your. I mean, it gets real specific, real fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like snake oil salesman like back in the day. I don't know. But I find it fascinating how we're looking for that new. I went with my buddy 2 weeks ago to a mushroom farm here in Bangkok, and he dropped like $400 or $500 on pills, like ground up, like liquid extracts. Like so, it's
Right.
basically like water extracts that are
Yeah,
then
but they
like spray
all
dried.
the weed people want to dab their mushrooms now, dude. That's what's going on, right?
Oh
They want to
yeah,
figure out another way to do it.
I just had somebody ask me about that last night. Yep.
Yeah.
Like basically the old question, like, can I smoke my mushrooms? And it's like, can you just eat them? Just eat them like no normal people. Like you don't need to smoke everything. Like everything's an extract or smokable or dabbable. And it's like, and so yeah, when my buddy was buying all these mushrooms, I was like, why don't you just like eat the mushrooms?
Right.
I don't know. It's not what people do. They want concentrates and they want extracts,
Yeah, I just watched a cool
magic
documentary
pills.
about packaging. Right.
Oh
If you
yeah.
just buy a weed nug,
Oh
it's
God.
not as sexy as if you buy the pre-rolls or you buy the wax, right? It's fun. I
Mm.
had people send me all the little wax and shatter and all that stuff and open it up and it's like, oh my God, it's fucking weed perfume, right? It just like nothing smells incredible. So
Mm.
it's that whole thing. The marketing of the world has just figured us the
Mm.
fuck out.
Oh yeah, Canna Cribs is a like a weed kind of doc show I watch on
Yeah.
YouTube, and that like half the show is about their packaging line
Oh
and the
my
like
God,
type of
yeah.
vial they use. Yeah, like we use this like vial from, and then they always throw in like who makes the vial, and they're getting kickbacks. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's incredible to me that like all of that just to get high and
Yeah.
like really,
Well,
really,
we
and it's
put our
like,
dabs in what is that
yeah,
crystal? In the
yeah,
mall, that
yeah,
Swarovski crystals.
Swarovski, yeah, maybe something like that. Got
This
diamonds
is
and
made out of
gold.
starfire glass, right?
Yes.
This is what we do, but we are these people, right?
Yeah,
We
the
want
whole
to feel
world.
special. I don't want my Air Jordans to cost $50. I don't want them to cost the same as a pair of fucking Reeboks. No. I want my Jordans to cost $500 so no one else has them so I can feel cool.
Mhm.
Exclusive. Yes.
It's
And
that
so that,
value added kind of thing.
yeah,
People
that's
think
the
their
same with this
product is
stuff.
worth more.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. All these, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many people message me going, hey, Geeky, have you grown Jabba the Hutt yet? Oh no. Oh, I grew it's really cool. You should grow it. You're like, bro, I mean, I've grown, I don't know, 120, 130 cultigens. They're starting to all look the same. Cool. I get it. Every once in a while, I'll see something and go, oh shit, that's cool. I got to grow that. I got some of those genetics coming right now. We'll see if the photos, if my photos look like the photos I've seen, I'll be a pretty happy dude, and I will definitely be talking about it.
Is there actually a Jabba the Hutt? Is that?
I just made that up. But hey, guys out there, if you just crossed something, I just gave it to you. I'm thinking squats. I'm thinking the next squat's got to be called Jabba the Hutt. The next brown squat, Jabba the Hutt. That's a freebie for you guys. There we go. Yeah, but it's fun. It's not my idea of fun, but it is definitely some people's idea of fun. It is the naming, is the doing all that. But you are the one who told me, well, the only reason they do that is because they want you to not realize that they just fucking stole it from somebody else. Some real breeder or real isolator like Raymond Medici or James Cruz or Dave Wombat, right, works tirelessly to or Mushman 9000. Shout out to the homie Mushman 9000. He just had a real hilarious photo today of his family, like looking all goofy for the holidays. Love that dude. But these people pine over isolations, right? Like they pick a cultigen and they work it and they work it and they work it and they are truly trying to improve it. And then these days, dear God, do you know how much garbage is going around the community right now? The LC movement is fucking ruined. Everyone's a culture vulture. Everybody's running liquid culture. And I got people, I think I've had 6 or 7 people now message me going, hey, when are you going to start talking about how shitty all the genetics are now? No, I mean, I just said it. There it is. So we got to start taking care of people who are either isolating or who are crossing, because that's where the new shit's going to come from.
Those damn people putting out those videos how to cross mushrooms.
No. I'm saying that's great, but then people got to work it. We've already talked about this. You know, I got a handful of people on my Discord. Ed's got a channel called the Grand Design Project. It's for everybody who's working Ed's crosses. And I'm working stuff at F7 right now. A couple other people are doing the same. I've been low-key working Ed stuff for multiple generations. This is similar work to what people who were in the TAT syndicate used to do, right? I've heard from Jick that, 6, 7, 8, 9 filial generations before he even wanted to hear anything about it. Right? Like he wanted a lot of proof, and then you had to send it to everybody in TAT Syndicate, and then they had to grow it out, I believe, at least a couple times or at least one time, and it had to look stable, and then you got Jick's seal of approval. All right, this is another TAT isolation. Let's put it out. That was a lot of work. People got to do the work, but no one wants to do the work anymore.
I think a lot of things sell by name these days. It's the same with the weed strains, I mean, people don't really buy, I don't know, they buy things based on the name. It's branding. That's what it all is. It's just branding. It's sad, but that's the way the world is these days.
Yep.
I mean, it's probably been like that for a long, long time, but it's just branding. So that's what I've been trying to figure out. Like, how is it that you merge that like a quality product with also branding without trying to be being like a sellout or whatever? It's like, how do you, like, people aren't going to buy your stuff if you don't advertise your stuff and you don't brand it and give it a name. Right. And so it's like this kind of shitty position where you're like, it's like musicians. Yeah. At some point, if you want to be popular, you're going to have to sell out or whatever. And it's probably the most horrible thing a musician has to do. But, if you're going to be known by people, you have to sign a contract with a big label, and they're going to tell you what songs to make. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, not everybody, they all want to be Frank Zappa, but they don't want to be Frank Zappa. They want to be, Freddie Mercury.
Mm.
Not that he was a sellout, but you know what I mean? Like everybody wants they all want the limelight, right? They all want everybody to know them cuz I'm special. But sometimes in order to do that, you have to take whatever genius you have, whatever makes you special, and you got to water it the fuck down. Right? Andy Warhol. Not saying he didn't have, an artistic bent, but he was the guy that said it's going to be all about commodifying and packaging this art. Don't make your art too fucking complicated. Then no one can digest it. Don't make someone have to take an art history class to understand why your art's so amazing. They should just look at it and just go, oh, okay, I get it. You should be able to analyze the value of that art within seconds of looking at it. And yeah, you're right. That's what people do now. Just quick, immediate. We're into the packaging. The packaging. I mean, dude, you should have watched my kid when she got her first iPhone. Opening that box. Oh my God, that was half of it for her. The box, the case, and then she gets to say she has an iPhone. She's made it. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Yes.
Yeah. Some people are very good at this. They've been doing it for probably probably 100 years at least now, right?
Yeah.
You ever look at like old magazine ads and you're like, wow, this shit worked on me when I was like 16 years old. It's like, yep, still works.
Still works.
Like old skateboarder magazines for like, Vans or whatever it might have been. All the Vans were pretty good skateboarding shoes, but yeah, it's like work then, still works.
Yeah.
It's like they got this stuff figured out. And the people who are probably trying to sell new
Yes.
strains of mushrooms with their fancy new name, yeah, they're pretty good at it too. Yeah, I'm sure they have partners or colleagues or business partners or whatever that are really, really keen on like making everything flashy and fancy and new and yeah.
Yeah, man. So where's the middle ground? I mean, I remember when I saw your first logo that was like Dr. Ed's Spore Store. And I remember thinking, I wonder if Ed thought back when he was finishing his PhD, hanging out with Ronald all the time and about to be, Mr. Hotshot PhD mycologist running a lab in Thai jungle. Like, did he ever think one day he was going to have to use AI generated art to brand his spore swap site? Probably not.
No, not. And I was just talking about actually a graphic designer with this like 2 nights ago. This dude's job is basically vanished like in the last 6 months. And he was like, tears in his beer kind of shit. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I had on the cup I drink out of, I had my sticker. And he was like, oh, how did you make that? And I was like, I did that in Canva in like 5 minutes. Like,
oh my gosh, yes.
Probably 3 minutes. And he was just like, yeah, I used to do that job. I used to make like $100,000 a year doing that job.
Yep.
Now he's like, buying $2 beers at the local watering hole, like crying. And I'm like,
that's gonna be lawyers and doctors pretty soon. And some Hollywood below the line people too. Shout out to John Workman. I saw him in the chat. He joined us late. Yeah, John, you have to go back and just start from the beginning. We're kind of in and out talking about ochraceocentrata. But I want to shout out John. He sent me some firefly petunia seeds. So I'm gonna put my little hydroponic. We grow herbs on a little hydroponic setup, but I'm gonna have to get those petunias going because I want to do some photography. I think that would be fun.
They'll take a while from seeds, right? I used to love growing petunias,
months.
but we always got the seedlings or whatever they're called in the. Oh, that's cool because I remember they used to always get seeds at the end of the. And I was like, why don't we just save these seeds? And it was just, it takes a long time for them to grow.
They're like
you can grow strawberries from seeds, I guess.
Yeah,
that's what's cool about our mushrooms. Like we can go through a whole life cycle in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a year. Pretty neat.
Yeah, I have a bunch of seeds. I was watching the. Now I'm concerned. I don't know if John he can answer this in the chat, but I was like, I wonder if they genetically engineered these to where you have to like go back and buy their plants. That was my first concern. I remember when these came out, and I almost bought some, and then I was like, are these gonna die? I'm gonna collect the seeds. I'm gonna grow them, and then they're not gonna be bioluminescent. So, but we're gonna find out because I. Oh, he said nope. Okay, good. That's
Oh, are
exciting.
they? Oh, they're the bio. Oh, they have bioluminescent petunias too.
Yeah, dude, bioluminescent petunias, bro. This Ed, it's the Jetsons now. If
I
you think it,
know.
it exists. Yes, glowing
No. So
plants.
this is the
Yes.
thing. Glowing plants aren't really that exciting to me. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know another thing. It's like, why is glowing such a big deal? I don't
Well, I'll tell
understand.
you how it's going to
Like
serve you.
jellyfish glow. Like lots of
Yes.
animals glow. I
Yeah,
don't know
half
why
of my
people are
kids'
so
shirts glow. Yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
well, I'm not
But
sure
no,
why
I
people are
like it because I'm gonna practice my Happy Hyphae and I, we're trying to get this macro photography down. We've been putting in some work. And so I will now have a bioluminescent object in the house that's a botanical thing that I can practice doing some photography with. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I grew a block of Amphilotus olearius one time, and I did I was using really fast film. I had to do like a
Mm.
6 hours exposure.
Yeah, dude, that's what Alan told me. He said for the all the Jack photos he's done, he's one
Mm,
particular one. He said, "Oh yeah, I just set it up and just left like the shutter was open all night
hmm.
until I went back in the morning and closed it." I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
"No shit."
exactly. Oh yeah, I mean you could see it with your eye. It's just I don't know, maybe with a digital camera they might be more sensitive. We would probably have to set the ISO at like fucking 32,000 or some shit like that. I don't
Or
even know if
just
they
yeah,
can.
to do it quick. Yeah, exactly. All
Yeah,
right, so I got
can
a
you?
question from Michael Mamas. Can you confirm that if we have Natalensis AFF, should we now be referring to them as Psilocybe ochraceocentrata nam prav? I don't know if it matters, but what's your thought, Ed?
My first thought would be where they got it from.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be a hell of a lot of people that have cultures also that were labeled. I mean, it wasn't called Natalensis affinis until like 3 months ago.
Right,
So where did you get that culture from, and what was it called before that?
right.
So this is one of the major problems. I guess is what they call like
Yeah,
provenance, right? And like, where did you get your culture from? Like, I showed you a picture of my BHT yesterday. I got that from Magic Spore, and Magic Spore no longer exists as far as I know. But I got it as an LC from Magic Spore, which at that time was shipping from Poland. But that was like 6 years ago, and it looks like a fuckload like the pictures of like Ochraceocentrata or
right.
Ochraceocentrata
Mm-hmm.
that are in there in that paper. And it's like, okay, how am I to know that maybe Spore Magic Spore had some dude in South Africa collecting shit he thought was cubensis,
Right.
and he's like, let's call it Banhuatanon, because it's kind of like Thailand. It's in the southern hemisphere, like what? Even though Thailand's in the northern hemisphere. But these people do all kinds of shit with the naming stuff. They've been doing it, even if you go way back, like Matthias Romero, the strain that they used to like advertise in the back of High Times. That was just an Amazon.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you go even like crazier, like PE is just basically an Amazon. I mean, according
Right.
to, I don't know, maybe you can ask John about that, but I mean, this shit is like, who knows, man? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
That's why,
So
like you were saying, the holotype is the important thing
right.
because nobody probably has the holotype of Matthias Romero or whatever it was called,
Right.
Like nobody might not even I even heard like Rusty White, like nobody knows. It was Pasty White himself on a podcast saying like no, like I don't know, nobody has that original culture.
Right.
Somebody supposedly got F6 spores and but who the hell knows?
Right. Yep.
Like and people
And
will
these
say
things
whatever the hell
change
they
and
want.
evolve, right? Like
Mm,
you can grow something and it can be stable for let's say 3 or 4 grows, and you
mm-hmm.
can try to grow it 2 years later because you saved some spores and now it don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, and the
You just
classic
never
thing,
know.
like you
Yeah.
have the same exact monoculture and you send it to someone else and it looks like their growing conditions, it looks totally different.
Yep.
Or I've got like ape, like speaking of apes, I've had this ape culture. I think I might have got it from you. It like the first 10 times I tried to grow it, absolute shit. And now for some reason, it's
Killing it.
growing really well. And I'm
Yeah.
getting these giant apes.
Yep.
And I'm like, why did you do that? Like, why did gave me so much pain and
Right.
heartache for like 2 years, and now all of a sudden you decided to grow well? It's like, fuck you. I would
Yeah.
have.
Yeah,
That
dude, but
happened
that's
all the
kind of like
time.
that's like that Dave Wombat statement way back when he was just like, yeah, you just run it off because you just don't know. Like
Hmm.
you really don't know, and even when you do run it and then you run it again, you still don't know. Um,
Just
it's just
keep
the
going.
yeah, you just that's why we're all in the same predicament. I was just talking to my wife about this in therapy. It's like there's always myco work to do.
Did you bring up mushrooms in therapy?
Of course I did. Yeah, I don't fuck
I know. I
around.
bring I
Yeah.
bring them up every
Yes.
20 minutes with my
Now,
friends.
so I will tell you this, and this kind of speaks to what the paper talks about of saying, hey, man, we should probably know what the fuck we have. And we can't just say it. And this speaks to you talking about knowing the providence of where you got something from. Um, and I was talking to John about this, I think last week. He goes, we have DNA of our gnats, the ITS sequence, so this can be used. So, man, if you're buying spores from
Oh
somebody
shit.
who has, is the power going out in
Ah,
Thailand?
yeah. Oh, this is my light bulb. I need to
Okay.
change my light bulb. That's
Okay.
CFT.
But yeah, like so they're I'm talking with somebody over there with John's Sporeworks outfit, and they do a lot of this stuff because they actually care if they say they're growing something and selling a certain spore. They want to make sure they got the right thing, so they're taking just a couple extra steps here and there to make sure that some of these exotics that they're growing are what they're growing. That's cool. That's more than a lot of these Facebook motherfuckers are doing, I can tell you that. So, yeah. It's there's something to be said going forward as more and more people are growing more and more species. It will probably be more a part of our dialogue to be talking about that sort of
Mm.
thing. Who you're getting stuff from. Oh, well, and there are people in this community that make a real
Mhm.
big deal about, like, oh, you don't really have that. I got it. And, it's easy to get mad at them for that. But if what behind that arrogant attitude is that they spent a year courting somebody in Japan to go source a very specific specimen, and they got the INAT observation, and they got a dried fruit body, and they got this and they got that, and then they grew it. That's why they're saying those things, like, hey, dude, I did more than your average Joe to vet what I have. I have more confidence that I know what I have than other people do. There's some value in that. Now, I know where Michael mamas are coming from, and my response is, if you have a bunch of people that like a strain that you have, I mean,
Mm.
there's another side of this coin, which is just, who gives a fuck what it is? It's
Yep.
your cool shit. You got cool gnats because Ryan Thompson, there are just certain people in this community who fucking love working gnats. And so now you guys have a name for yourselves as people who have really great Natalensis genetics, which now isn't Natalensis, but what do you want to call it? Who gives a shit? If you keep calling it gnats, eventually wherever this paper lands and wherever future papers about actual Natalensis land, we will eventually have clarity around that. I don't think we have that. We just have like the plot twist right now, which
They
is
can like hyphenate it or something like Martinez, Rodriguez, Lopez, Menendez.
exactly, yes.
Like, it
We'd
could
like
be
to
a
thank
Nat
17,000
hyphen.
researchers. Yes, exactly.
Nat OCC or something like that. Yeah, I think it, like I said, it doesn't really matter if it does what it's supposed to do. There's really no need. I hate to say it, but like amateur mycology is not the place for taxonomy or for people in it to really care. This
I
is
mean,
like
the really
this.
high levels, the
Yeah,
getting all the taxonomic nomenclature correct and the this and the that. I mean, if
cares.
that's your bag, okay, cool. But you're not getting everybody in the cube community to talk that way. Like
Mm.
you're just not. Like if that's what you want to do and that's your jam, cool, great. Some people like peanut butter, some people like mint chocolate chips, we're all different. We all like different things. Not everybody's into the same shit. Some people, I don't even care. I was talking to Scott Astuni about this. I was like, bro,
Mm.
why'd they have to name this? Natalensis was fun enough to pronounce, and now it's ochraceocentrata. Come on. And he started naming off a bunch of like complicated Psilocybe names that he loved, and he's like, it's cool. It's like a wizard spell. And I'm like, okay, that's your jam. That is not my relation to that situation.
What is that
Um,
one? Fucking
I do.
Thailandio, Duplio, Cicada, whatever. It's called like 18 syllables. It's like
Yeah.
Thailandio.
And the winner goes to, with 94 syllables,
Mm-hmm.
Ochraceocentrata tropicalis youngensis. Yes, like, I get it. I still want to name
Yeah.
them all after people. I want Psilocybe Bill, Psilocybe Gavin, Psilocybe Sarah. Let's just make it simple, guys.
Yeah,
It's
we
not a,
could do that. I mean, like Labrador dogs, they all have different names. But those, you can call those, I don't know, you call them strains or cultivars, maybe. Like, maybe not. So,
right.
I don't know if it really matters. I mean, I know, but this sounds like very defeatist or kind of but from someone who has done taxonomy and spent hours searching through literature and fought with myself and my advisor and other people like peers and whatnot. I would suggest for the average person to just leave this up to the professionals and don't
Yeah.
really like lose sleep about it. But if you just want to change the name of something to, I mean, it's again, it's back to what is the right name. The fact is, there's probably not going to be a right name
For a
for
while.
many, many years because I guarantee, like a year from now, somebody's gonna find something that maybe is somewhere between cubensis and ochraceocentrata, and then they'll find something that looks, and this is gonna go on and on and on, and maybe they'll give it a new name.
Right.
It's just like one of those things. I guess it's like branding again. Like you call something, you give it a brand name, like tissue paper. You call it Kleenex. It still
Right.
blow your nose with it. It still
Yep.
works. Like Celox,
Yep.
Kleenex, whatever, Charmin or whatever the hell brands
Yep.
they got now. It's still tissue paper. It still works.
Right.
Like I don't know. People
I
don't really
like
need
it.
to
I
worry
like
about it that much.
I still blow all my snot into it. I just
Mm.
like it better if it's Kleenex with the lotion, the
Yeah,
Advanced Plus with the
I
lotion.
know.
Ooh,
I
that's what I
know.
like.
I got some of
Almost fun to get
up
a
there.
cold. No, I'm
See,
kidding.
and you'll pay more for it too. That's the thing.
I
That's the
will pay more
important
for the
thing. You
lotion.
will pay more for it.
Yeah, I tried to
Like
just
people are
like
gonna.
I tried to put lotion on my Kleenex. It didn't work out. That was not the way to do it.
There's a different purpose and purpose there.
Yeah, I guess I could just rub lotion on my nose, but that's awful. I hate that. I hate lotion anyway. So I'm never gonna do that. But so I will say this. So when I was talking to Brayton today, and I sent him a voice message, and I thought I was really special because I had spent some time trying to figure out so how to Ocraceos. I said in Ocraceocentrata in the message, and when he responded, he said Ocraceocentrata, and I was like, oh shit, man! I spent like an hour yesterday saying this thing 4,000 times, and now I got to do that, and I got to do it 5,000 times just to get the proper pronunciation now. And he goes, it doesn't matter, it's Latin. He's like, don't like,
Mm,
who cares? He goes, you can say that. That sounds good too.
mm,
So, yeah, with the whole Nats thing, I mean, for us, we are not. I'm not advanced scientific researcher. I'm not. Nothing I'm doing matters in the grand field of mycology. I'm not trying to get something approved by the ICBN. I'm not doing any of those things. All I need to be able to do is communicate what I have and what I will be giving somebody. So you still keep calling it Natalensis? I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Everyone will understand what you mean by that. And eventually there will be a day when somebody else will be doing a podcast and they'll go, did you know they used to call these ochraceocentratas, they used to call them gnats? And people will be like, what? Why would they? Like,
No.
right? We will be the Stropharia and we will be the Agaricus of Psilocybe for that timeline. There will be that moment when it will be old news until it's yeah.
Could I make another prediction? What's going to happen is because of FOMO, fear of missing out, everybody's going to buy up as many of those Natalensis, the new Natalensis spores.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're going to find out that those are equally compatible with cubensis and ochraceocentrata also, because I guarantee
ochraceocentrata, yeah.
Those are going to be 100% compatible with all the other cubes. Well, as we've shown already, because those were already shown. This is the kind of going back to
I'm
the
inclined to want to believe
concept.
you there, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, anything that is in that clade, I think you said one of the authors assumed that was going to be it's going to be the case.
Yep.
They're that close related. And I can almost guarantee, I would be willing to bet money that real whatever Natalensis, they're also going to be made compatible with all the cubes.
Yes.
All the ochras, let's call them ochras.
There we go.
All the
I love it.
all the cubes,
ochras.
all the gnats, they're all going to be 100% compatible.
Which makes sense, because then if we're going off that logic, right? If you and a bunch of other people have already mated cubes with what is now likely ochraceocentrata, well, look where gnat is. It's right there. It's right next to it. And then the real get now is, we got that. How did you pronounce that? Chuhiangensis?
Yeah, I don't know if it's named after a place in China. The ensis usually means it comes from that place.
Yeah, there's a province in China with this name, Xuzhong or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Xuzhong. That was like me just drawing from my inner Mandarin that I don't have, but it felt good.
I was gonna say
felt good. Xuzhong, the Xuzhong province.
Watching some old kung fu movies. Xuzhongensis.
Exactly.
I'll ask the next Chinese person I find. No, they won't know because it's been transliterated to English, so they won't be like, I don't know what that word. It doesn't exist.
There you go.
It's probably just a made up place. It's probably like the name of a convenience store in China somewhere.
Exactly.
It's like a weed shop or something.
Yep. I had an interesting, and this is definitely not to poke fun at this person, but I had somebody the other day, because this is one of my buddies, but he was like, hey, I saw your episode of Brown Treasure. That guy seems so cool. I want to buy some stuff, but I'm gonna wait until I grow pans because I don't want to, why something, I forget how he put it, but something about like, why would I grow cubes on Psilocybe? And I was like, well, that is where you will find them growing in the wild. That would not be strange. But him saying that made me realize just how disconnected we have gotten in our labs, right? From like what is going on out in the wild with these things. So I thought that was actually interesting, just to be like, oh, no, bro, yes, you can absolutely grow right now any cube you got on poo substrate, and it will like it. It will not complain.
You mean there's not massive piles of CV like out in the middle of fields that cubes grow off of? Vermiculite mounds,
my vermiculite mound yielded such a
natural habitat.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
There was a guy here who sent me a picture of somebody had thrown out one of their cakes and he didn't know it was like one of his neighbors or something. And he sent me these pictures of like, I think these are cubes. And I was like, dude, that's like a monotub cake they're growing off of. And he thought it was like some pile of poo or something. I was like, you could see the vermiculite in it. I don't think like cows generally eat vermiculite, but maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe in Thailand they do. I don't know.
Would
They like their
never.
sparkly poo. They
You
want to
just
shine.
never know. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be disappointed by this episode because they're just going to be like, I just want to know what to call it.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not that simple.
I mean, just be like everybody else in this community and call it whatever the fuck you want to call it, because that's pretty much what most people are doing now. I personally, until there's a predominance of real Natalensis cultures, spores, prints, swabs going around, and it's readily available, I don't think that differentiation is that big of a deal just yet, but sure, it's coming. It's coming. As of right now, I only know of one or two people that are claiming to have real gnat spores. I've tried for 2 years to get it directly from people in South Africa, and for some reason, there's some invisible wall that always seems to prevent me from getting it for some reason. So I've tried. I've offered hundreds of dollars for a measly little frickin' print in an envelope. Nobody can ever pull it off for me because of, I don't know, gatekeeping or whatever. I don't really know. I don't care. I got kids to take care of. I got podcasts to do. I got shit to do. But it's my little side project that I've been hoping to get. So it's looking like we will soon have some actual real Natalensis genetics. Then we can grow it out and decide whether they're even worth growing or not.
I'm not going. I'm abstaining. I don't give
maybe
a shit anymore.
ochraceocentrata's what's up. Maybe that's the cool shit. Maybe that's the. I mean, lots of cool shit from Africa. Why not ochraceocentrata? There you go.
Yeah. I don't care anymore. I'm going to refuse to buy. I'm refusing to. I'm not going to pay for Natalensis spores. It's just a giant.
You're Ed Grand. You're going to get them sooner or later. Somebody's going to send them to you, dude.
Yeah, you ain't got them. I don't even care. I really don't care. I'm done. I mean, I hate to say it, but I know I'm done with this kind of like line of.
Yes, I hear you.
It's marketing. It's all marketing. And I mean, it's fun to talk about, but we've just basically we've done like a 2-hour advertisement for Natalensis, it's like, there's going to be more people wanting to buy Natalensis spores now that that we've done this. That's what smart marketers do.
Yeah.
Like when people like any publicity is good publicity,
Any pub is good pub. Yep. 100%. Yeah, so Michael Allen said, yeah, there's not a lot of new information on the on Natalensis. It's mostly a paper clarifying that when they thought they were actually doing a paper on Natalensis, and then when they finally got the holotype sequenced, then they started going, wait a minute, all this stuff is not that, it's something else, and that's when they kind of figured out what they had. But I can make available to anybody that's interested. Hold on, let me click over here. There's an old from Mycotaxon. This is from '99. This is, I believe, the oldest paper you're likely going to get your hands on about Natalensis. And I think there was one section I thought was kind of interesting. Where was it? No, not there. Sorry, just quickly trying to look through what part of this I wanted to talk about. Yeah. Oh, here it is in 94. So, sorry, I thought it was 93, but I guess it was 94. And I think the very first sort of a paper, but I bought 5 different old historic books or journals or whatever, thinking I was going to get my hands on this, and everything I bought never had it in it. I bought an old compilation book. Anyway, I've just never been able to get that 95 paper by Gars, but they're talking about it here, and Uh, shit, why can I not find the part I was looking for? It's got to be in here somewhere. But anyway, you can read about this. It's a little bit smaller in stature. Natalensis do not grow on dung. They're just they just grow in grass. They're kind of like a field mushroom, basically. Oh, here it is. So distinctive features in Natalensis. Robust sized fruit bodies, up to 6 centimeters in diameter. Pale cream colored, non-hygraphinous. Pileus, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm reading this now. I'm like, is this talking about the ochraceocentrata or what? I don't even know. But
sounds like a small cube to me.
Yeah, a small cube. There you go. we know we do not have to. I should start selling lumper versus splitter shirts. Some people, so when you go to your myco events, you can just wear a shirt that says like I'm a splitter or I'm a lumper, and then get in fist fights behind the tent. That's probably what would happen. Yep.
Yeah, it's been the perpetual. I mean, even with the field mycologists, I mean, again, you've got those people that are gonna take and split up Boletus rubiceps or whatever into 15 different things based on their ecotype and what side of the mountain they grow on and how tall it is, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's yeah, this is what taxonomists do.
Agreed. All right, so here's a prediction. Workman says the ochras are. Oh, see, he's calling them ochras too. The ochras are great. The real gnats, I suspect, will be difficult to grow and won't be popular. All right, guys. So you got a prediction from John Workman. Ed doesn't care either way. He says, fuck Natalensis. He doesn't want anything to do with them.
I've never called them Natalensis. I've called them cubes. Like for the last 2 years, I've been like, these are not Natalensis. These are cubes.
Oh, that's so funny.
I don't want to like reiterate it, but I've said this like dozens of times. Like these gnats, aphanus, whatever, ochraceocentrata, whatever. I'm not even gonna call them ochres. They're cubes. They're cubes.
Okay.
Anybody who's grown enough cubes knows, like the shit, like, oh, it overlays. Golden Halo does that. We still call it a cube.
Yeah.
It's like these weird morphological plasticity. Oh, it's got a hat. Big fucking deal. Golden Halo gets hats. Tote gets hats. B plus gets hats.
Yep.
For some reason, there's like these minor like morphological differences that we like. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, but it's overlays. So I've got like 6 different cultures that overlay.
I hear you. Yeah.
I don't understand this. It really confuses me why we just pick and choose. Like all of a sudden, this character is like so significant, like it's tenaciously attached to the substrate. Have people grown cubes? Like, I mean, this is what I don't understand. Have these people ever grown cubes or more than like one kind of cube? There's so much diversity. I don't understand it. Again,
I hear you, but again, if you go to a car dealership and you say, sell me a car, they don't just show you one car. They want to show you all their different cars. So yeah, I think you're really...
But they still call them cars.
Sure. Yeah. But I think you're really
They don't say this is a G. You want a car? Here's a pickup truck.
Right.
They don't do that. They call them all cars.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yes, I'm with you. But I'm just kind of piggybacking on this marketing idea, which is if splitting is good for keeping your job as a professor, then also splitting and naming is good for your job as a vendor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, that's what 100%. That's what I'm saying. This is all just advertising. This is all just marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
Because the people are gonna have a really good run on Natal, or whatever the hell, whatever the new, if they're gonna call it Natalensis, they're gonna sell a fuckload of spores, and like literally somebody's gonna pay for like half their house by selling Natalensis spores. They're probably gonna be real light swabs because they're gonna try to get as many swabs out of that mushroom as they can.
Yep. You're probably right on that one. Yep.
FOMO, man.
Yep.
Fear of missing out. That's the thing. That's what sells stuff, that new limited edition Supreme or whatever, that fucking Supreme hammer with a sticker on it. Like that.
Yep.
Like what's that Louis Vuitton? What's that bag that like all the there's
Yeah.
some kind of weird bag that like costs like $50,000 because there's like 12 of them every year or something.
Yep. Oh. Here we go. Here we go. Guess who we got in the chat?
Hermes. There's
I
some kind of
have a
Hermes bag.
sneaking suspicion this is the lead researcher on the paper. Yeah, man, Alexander, I need to find this paper. I tried so hard to find it. The 99 paper's cool. But I've always been very curious about the original paper. And I tried my best to get my hands on it, and I kept failing. I even paid some. I mean, I paid too much money to not get it. I got at a point where I was just frustrated. I don't have all the university connections and all that kind of stuff to get at it, I guess.
Somebody
So
probably ripped it out of, even if it was in the original. I remember I used to look up syntheses for like, old like birch reductions for whatever, things that people know. And yeah, you go to the journal and the page is ripped out. It's like, wow, it took me like 45 minutes to go through the graduate library stacks to find this journal. And you get to, oh, page 547, it's gone.
it's the only page that mattered in that book. It's like a
Yep.
self-help book, right? Every
Because somebody
self-help book could
else.
be one page, but they flesh it out into 180 pages every
Oh,
time.
well, this was like some cast like chemical abstract that
Yeah,
like it was like the synthesis for meth, and some
yeah,
lazy dude
gone.
couldn't pay 10 cents for a Xerox machine that was at the end of the stack and just ripped it
Exactly.
out.
Yep. You can't rip out the internet now. So now those problems
Ah,
are gone, Ed. Now it's the opposite problem. Now it's the proliferation of information is the
oh
new
yeah.
problem. Oh my God, that would be great. Yeah. So Alexander said I have the whole set and I can scan it. That would be phenomenal. Um,
Hmm.
sorry, Alexander. It got very light very quickly. I think we were. I don't know how much of it you've watched, but we're talking very forest for the trees right now. Um, but at the end of the day, and all these guys kind of said the same thing, which is, it's not been peer reviewed. It's not officially published yet. We don't have the Natalensis paper out. It's kind of feels a little jump in the gun, but we do appreciate that it's getting some attention. Um, I know in our community that the main concern is, I think Myco Mamas expresses the concern the best, which is people just want to make sure they're calling things the right thing. But what's really difficult, that Ed has reminded us several times of, is like, how do you ever really know the level of scientific rigor you have to go through to prove something is something? Like, I have Cambodians. How do I prove that my Cambodians are actually from a land race from Cambodia? I would have
Hmm.
to hopefully find some herbarium specimen that we know for a fact came from wild cubes in Cambodia. Uh, run the ITS on that. That would be a lot of
Hmm.
work, and that's not something I can pull off. No guy running a herbarium is going to give me access to holotype specimens to break a little piece of gill off and run sequencing on. That's never going to happen. So, like, yeah, this is, you don't ever know this, which I think is why Ed keeps saying, like, who fucking cares? At the end of the day, we're
Hmm.
growing magic mushrooms. They work. They have therapeutic and recreational benefits to people who enjoy them and who can do integrative, work with them. It's a magical mushroom. It's why they are called magic mushrooms. Getting more specific than that, as somebody who, I don't have the money to do that. I can't, right? Like, prove my Cambodians are from Cambodia. I don't have the money for that right now. Even the stuff Ed and I have been talking about, how can we find other, how can we use, what are those restriction enzymes to start
Hmm.
figuring out hopefully some super cost effective ways to run paternity, or also start figuring out uh, sort of phylogenetic information within all of our cultigen variety, we still need the initial outlay of time, energy, and money to figure out what restriction enzymes we would use. That's some amount of work, or we need access to a very expensive computer program and shit like that. And the average person can't do that. I mean, we think we're really cool because we pay $150 and get one little homogenated sample of dried powdered mushrooms tested, and we can go, well, that sample had this much psilocybin in it, and we feel like we figured something out. But you could do the same thing with your next batch, and it could be significantly different. And then you're going there, scratching your head, going, well, why was that batch different? It was I got it from the same liquid culture jar. And then you're back to square one, going, I don't know, but they all work. I really, you told me this so long ago. We were like, why is everybody chasing potency? Just eat more of them. Why are you chasing some magic number? Because that number seems to change all the time. I don't know.
I'm more fascinated what's happened in the community as far as human psychology. I don't know where people are going with some of their ideas and what's happening to people now. To me, it doesn't really have anything to do about mushrooms anymore. It's about like how people are selling stuff and where they think things are going and like what is their purpose in this hobby. Like I think some people are
Yeah.
getting it kind of twisted at the end of the day. They're like they're in this hobby for the wrong reasons.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like we want to just like teach people to like grow their own medicine, right? And create their own medicine. And if that particular medicine works for you, whether you call it gnats or ochras or Billy Bob Thornton, you know, Jack in the Box fucking squats or whatever.
Don't ever
There you
call it
go.
Jack in the Box. No.
But
That's
it's
where I
like
draw
if
the
if
line.
it works for you, right? Like what I don't really understand. Like call it whatever you want. Like people name their hamsters and their guinea pigs and their goldfish. I'm kind of like fascinated about how maybe it's the type of people that our hobby attracts. I just say it, but a lot of people are in the
Yeah.
ADHD
Yeah, for
kind of
sure.
category. I'd probably say 80% of the people I talk to are self-admitted like ADHD or whatever it's called now.
Yes.
I saw another one, autism, ADHD, something. Yeah, and it's like kind of attracts us, people. Like especially if you go to graduate school with these types of people, like we've joked about before. Like to be honest, like taxonomy people, taxonomists are like some of the most boring fucking people you will ever meet in the world. Like they are like
Oh,
not
dude.
the most exciting people to talk to because they talk about they fixate. It's like
Well,
little
are they
kids.
like if a literature grad, like an English literature grad, married a librarian, had a child? That's kind of who you get, right? Like you got someone who's
Well, they
interested in
probably would never have a
linguistics.
child because they wouldn't have sex because one of them would be thinking
Uh,
about the diseases that the other one had and
sure.
then trying
Yes.
to analyze like
Of
the
course.
next 40 years of that child's
Oh,
life and what school it was going to go to when it was
oh, that's
18
funny.
and yeah, it's like that Idiocracy movie, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like just 5
Yes.
more years. Like, oh yeah, what like what, yeah.
All right, so here's a couple cool. So just so everybody knows, the lead researcher on the paper is in the chat, and he came in late, but he's just making some comments. So he goes, I think it depends on what level you want to go to. Ed stated perfectly. There are a number of species concepts, some of which work well, some which work poorly for fungi, even and even specific groups in fungi. But I also agree the community should refer to their strains in a way that they are most confident in what they have. And truthfully, Ed is correct. The taxonomy can become insanely complex quickly, um, and it often means nothing for your average person. So there you go. You get all the.
Thank you,
Are you guys
Alexander.
noticing?
Finally, somebody who fucking agrees with me.
Are
Well,
you
besides,
noticing? Are you noticing the taxonomists are, while they're doing their taxonomy, they're also very quick to go. It's almost like, what's a good example? You know the game Bridge? Let me use the game Bridge as an example. It's a complicated game. There's a lot to it. But if you're not into the game Bridge, like, it doesn't matter. And so it's almost like a bridge player going, "Do you want to play bridge? No? Oh, then don't ask me about bridge. Like you're wasting your time." Sort of. Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
It's
I
it's
think, dude, something you always said to me was like, at the end of the day, when if you're trying to get a degree, if you're trying to get a PhD, you have to defend your idea. So the first thing you got to do, if you don't have somebody that's got more research than they have time to do it, and they just hand you a funded research project, then you have to defend. You have to come up with an idea, and you got to get them to go, sure, sounds good. And I know in English literature, because that's my background, almost every time the candidate comes at the advisor with just too big of an idea. It's always too big. It's always too much, and they always have to go, you got to pare that down. Do you know how much time, energy, and sometimes money it's going to take to figure out the tiniest fucking thing and to say it for
yeah.
certain and to be an expert about that? It's going to take a lot. So you got to narrow it down, right? And
Mhm.
it's easy to be real big about those ideas. So even when you finally defend your idea, then you got to do all the work and you got to get it approved and this, that, and the other thing. It is so much work. And you have to always know why you're doing all the work, because if you don't actually know why you're doing it, if you can't go, in the case of science, if you can't go, well, so I'm a mycologist and this is a thing I want to research and figure out and come to some conclusions on. And your advisor might go, but let's say you figure that out. I'm trying to tell you, does it matter? Does it actually matter to mycology? And so I say that in our community, if you figure something out to the nth degree and you know you're right, is it having, like, what is the real world effect of that? I see that. I work in the ER. The doctors all the time go, well, it could be this or it could be that. My treatment modality is the same. So why do you want me to spend more money getting more specific? If I know it's down to these two things, why spend more money on testing? Let's just treat it, because I treat it the same way regardless of whether it's this or that. I'm not saying they don't have a differential. They're figuring something out. But you always have to go, well, why are we doing this? The why is not asked in our community nearly enough. Why do I want to know this? Why does this matter? Why am I doing this? Why am I right? And Ed, you're always
Oh, I
just
think
going,
it's
isn't it to grow magic mushrooms? And aren't we already
yeah,
doing that? So like chill
yeah,
the fuck out. Yes.
yes. Well, you know why? It's because people want to be right. There's a lot, 95% of the people in our community, if they feel that they are wrong, even if they are wrong, they will fight tooth
Oh
and nail
yeah.
to the end to prove I am right. And that's why I think this whole situation is just fucking laughable because it's like, wow, there's a bunch of people, how they eat humble pies, as they say, like, it's like, it's just
But it's not,
hilarious to
it's
me.
that is not even just in this community, because I'm not really big into sports. The minute I stop playing sports, I stop watching people play sports. Everybody else around here, it's all they want to talk about. If you are a man in Akron, Ohio, and you don't want to have extremely long, in-depth conversations about sports, then you're probably not talking to any guys around here. And they
Yeah.
will go on and on. They refer to the team as their team. They talk as if they're a part of the strategy of the team. They talk like they're running the
Yeah,
team. And I
exactly.
always just go, bros, you are not, no one is paying you to have any of these opinions. And none of these
Right.
people actually care what you think. But it's fun. That's why people do it. They just enjoy it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it gets, I don't know, to be honest, it gets kind of a little bit boring after a while
Sure.
unless you're doing it like with a specific purpose. It's like, I don't know, like you said, does it really matter? I think we run the risk of becoming this like community of wannabe nerds, which we are not. The
Sure.
mycology community as a whole, unless you are in academia. I mean, I also find this a little bit ironic is that like all of a sudden like everybody hates academia and the fucking ivory towers, and then as soon as there's some paper like this that hasn't even been published, everybody's like, yeah, look, I'm right, like I do that, like, and it's like,
Yeah,
wow,
it's
so
like
there's this
using
like
it. Yeah.
extreme admiration and idolization of certain aspects of academia, But on the other side, those same people are like, oh, the fucking academics, because they like failed out of college or whatever. And they're like, fuck academia, fucked. It's the same thing. It's like the people that complain about the educational system the most are like teachers because they're very, very familiar with
Sure.
that system. And it's kind of funny to hear like teachers. It's just like totally my buddy. He's just like constantly goes on about his college, his college sociology professor. And he's like obviously scarred from it. And he's a teacher now. He's been a teacher for the last 30 years.
Wow.
But he still remembers that one teacher. And it's like, wow. I don't know. We shouldn't be
Yeah.
too like don't scare people away, if somebody comes in and they're just like, "Hey man, I want to grow mushrooms." And they go onto Facebook and they see some of these discussions that are going on and on and on, and they're just like, "I just want to grow mushrooms." And then they get in there and this is the kind of thing that if somebody makes a comment and says, like I literally saw it yesterday. Somebody gets in halfway in the conversation in the thread and they say, "What is the difference between gnats and ochras, whatever?" And people like immediately like, "Oh, we've been talking about this for 3 days." Like, you dumbass, don't you know?
Right.
And it's like, really, that's the way you're gonna
That's an
treat
easy
somebody?
way to feel good about yourself, Ed. That's why they do it.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It's
the
that
easy
what
way
is
to
it?
feel.
Pretentious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's well, okay, that's what I was gonna say, but again, I don't want to hurt, I don't like to hurt people's feelings, but yes, this is a way for people to say, look, I was right. I am right. Look, I'm right. And it's like, wow, when did your like frontal cortex stop developing? When you were like 11? Like, I'm right. Like
Kids
this is a
these days, it might even be earlier than that. You never
yeah,
know.
yeah, your
Yeah.
prefrontal cortex, it probably
Yeah.
correlates the first time you start huffing gas.
Yeah. I mean, all I know is the there are so if there's a predominance of ADHD in our community, there is also a predominance of serious trauma
Mm,
and mental instability, suicidal ideation. There is a lot of hurting people in the
mm,
community. And I have said to numerous people numerous times who seem to enjoy being assholes to people in the
mhm,
community, man, you don't know who you're talking to, right? We're talking to artificial online personas. Um, you don't know where these people are
it's
at.
crazy.
You can think that they're fine, and you can say something and it can be like the end for them. I know people who've told me I
Oh no.
literally was about to quit mycology. I was giving up.
Mhm,
Everybody sucked. I couldn't find a good group of people. And then I just magically found your podcast. And it was fun, and people seemed
mhm.
to like each other and get along. And I joined your Discord. And now I found a bunch of cool people. But there are a lot of people that do not ever find, and there's lots of good groups. I mean, it's obviously, I'm not the only podcast. I don't have the only Discord. But if people come in and they get exposed to the wrong people,
Yes.
they go bye bye. And in my mind, if we want our faction to grow, if we want our community to grow, we can't be turning people away. We can't be turning them off to what we're doing. I mean,
Mhm.
I do truly believe that these mushrooms are fucking incredible. They are they are magical. They can have profound impact on people's lives. Even from a recreational perspective, they are safe and they are amazing if you just have two fucking brain cells. But a lot of people don't get to ever get to that point.
Yeah, well, if you type in Natalensis in Google, I'm sure right now it's gonna throw you right in the middle of a Reddit thread that is just fucking people arguing, like just nonstop and just going at each other's throats. And it's like, do we really need this?
Holy
Yeah,
shit, Ed. Here we go. We're doing it. He said it. I tried it. Let's see what we find.
it's probably, I bet, it's right in the
Look at
middle of an
this.
argument.
Right?
I
Oh,
know
let
I
me
was
take.
yesterday when I went on Facebook yesterday, I was like, oh my God, these people are really like, I thought people were chilling out a bit. Nope, they've come out of the woodwork again.
Nope. All right. Shout out to Sam Gandy. He's a cool guy. We've chit chatted. I've sent him some cool genetics. Love that guy. Here we go. The SEO top of the list. Natalensis versus cubensis. You called
And
it,
it's
Ed.
probably a bunch of people being assholes in there.
That
Guaranteed.
that beat out the Wikipedia and the iNaturalist. Like, look at that.
On Reddit too. Yeah, shit.
Look at that.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I just assumed that would be happening. I guarantee probably every asshole in the myco community, you can find them in that conversation.
Probably. Yeah.
They got different screen names though. Remember, everybody's got different screen names.
All right, let me do one thing before we go, especially since Alex showed up. Let's I want to did I pull this up? Did I pull the holotype image up? I can't remember. Did I do that in the beginning?
You might have showed it to me, but not the other people.
Oh, okay.
I remember.
All right, guys. So this so man, I've been interested in this figuring out where this holotype was and all that for a long time. And here it is. It was in Leipzig. This is the actual material. It looks like there's an addendum notation here from the curator in Leipzig. Good old Peter Otto. Good guy. Shout out to Peter Otto, because he's the reason this was able to be sequenced, and we get to move toward figuring some stuff out. So that's great.
So before you move on, I think this is what people realize. All of what we're talking about is based on those two mushrooms. Like everything that we have talked about is all those two dried fucking little mushrooms in a box somewhere in Leipzig, Germany.
Yep.
This is
Dude,
all that
when you told me that the holotype, of course there's other types. You can find an isotype, but at the end of the day, when you made it clear like the importance of the holotype, and then now how it refers or how it relates to DNA sequencing and all that stuff, and some of these old holotypes they're not getting sequences from. Some they are. I think I heard Alan say that he's gotten them off 50-year-old specimens, so it can be done in some pretty old specimens, but there are holotypes that will not be able to be sequenced. And so at the end of the day, there is a huge amount of work then that has to be done. And I mean, this shit is happening one species at a time, right? It's a lot of work for these scientists to do all this stuff. But anyway, I just thought this was really neat to get this high resolution image. It was interesting in the remarks that they collected 23 fruit bodies that day. 10 were collected. The holotype 7 were sent to Leipzig. Isotype 3 fruit bodies to whatever this place is. And then it says here, description published in integration number 6. This is, I've on 2 occasions paid to get this, and it was not in. It was not in there for some reason, but I guess you can't buy this crap off of eBay, I guess is my problem. But anyway, yeah, so this is cool, all this information. I wonder who filled out the slip at the bottom. I don't know. The other thing I want to show you guys is just real quick, whether our opinions matter or not, all this research is very interesting and ultimately is a sign that the mushroom genus that we love so much is being researched by scientists right now, and that's really cool. So this is Bryn Dettinger. He runs the Dettinger Lab, so that's him at the top. He is the curator of mycology and associate professor at University of Utah. He works with a few other people. I'll tell you the guys that were on the paper. So Alexander Bradshaw right here, he's the postdoc researcher. He got his PhD in 22. He is from North California.
That a machete in his hand.
Is it? Yes, he's a badass motherfucker. There we go. All right. That's how you get these mushrooms, guys. You got to machete some vegetation out of the way. It is all under deep, thick vegetation. It says he is into investigating genetic diversity, large fungal individuals, metabarcoding, all sorts of super nerdy stuff. But most importantly, shout out to dachshund owners. He's got a long-haired dachshund named Bones. I got a standard black and tan. So all right, we've bonded on dachshundation, whether he realizes it or not. All right, some other people at the Dettinger Lab. Kendra Autumn, she was not on this paper. Keaton, I think, he's a PhD candidate. I think he did. I think it's looking like he was probably doing some genomic and ecological data. Um, his research focuses around population genomics, speciation genomics, et cetera, et cetera. Cool dude. Hopefully we get
And he's
all
got a
these guys.
Boston Terrier. Have you
Oh,
bothered with
nice.
his?
This is, I guess this is a thing. You have to say what dog you have. My wife has the same thing on her little website. It's like all your CV information, and then at the end it has to be like a playful thing, like, and enjoys popping popcorn on balconies in the South Pacific, or yeah, that's like the thing you gotta do. All right, I think this is.
Somebody told me guys are taking potted plants on like dates now and pretending to talk to them or something like
What?
this. I don't know, man, what the kids are doing. I guess
Weird,
like
dude.
young guys don't know how to talk to girls anymore, so they're like taking potted plants and like
Wow.
pretending they're a person. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
have you heard
identify as a plant or something.
all the real odd behaviors happening in Japan? I know they were like people you
Oh,
could rent who would just like cuddle with you. So can you imagine you just
yeah.
call a number and you go, I want to cuddle, and that's all they do is cuddle. And yeah. I'm
You can
like,
do that
wow.
here too, but it's a lot more expensive than just cuddling.
Yeah, and I bet it's not just
You,
cuddling.
you
then.
can you don't
It's
have
not
to.
just
You just
cuddling.
cuddle. You can just cuddle.
Sure.
It's
Okay.
cold, man. It got down to like 65 last night. I was freezing my ass off.
Man, I am just sitting there thinking, it's called a heater, but I'm just sitting there thinking, just imagine if you had a perfect stranger come over to your house and you cuddled them. What is going through your mind?
And what's
Wouldn't
more
that-
disturbing is that's not that odd. Like it's people are lonely, man.
Oh, I
Like
know.
I don't
Oh,
know like if you realize this, but the whole world is fucking lonely as shit.
oh,
Like I'm sure you do.
yes.
It's like literally people they have money, but they like rent old men. Like in Japan too, I just saw a dude. He literally like they rent old men to go like walk around and talk to them. They rent people to cuddle with, and
Yeah.
it's people are extremely lonely.
Hey,
That's
dude,
why
what
I
is
think
that? It's that Beatles song, Eleanor Rigby, All the Lonely People. Where do they all come from? Yes. Yeah. And I mean, shit, the Beatles wrote that song back in the day. Now, of course we're lonely.
it's getting
There's,
worse. And
it's
here the big
getting way
scamming
worse.
thing. They're scamming all these old people because they're just lonely.
The scams are getting worse. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
people will
100%.
literally send thousands of dollars to somebody they've met on the internet to have somebody to talk to. Like
Yeah.
they don't even care. They're like half the
That's
time
like
these
the
people get
80s, the
scammed. They're
talk
like,
lines. Yeah, like
yes,
some chick in lingerie would be like,
exactly.
call the hotline. Cause yeah,
Mm,
just some single dude at night is just lonely and yep, 100% wants to talk to people.
$3.99 a minute.
And then if you're like me, you get married, you have 3 kids, and you're around people all
And you
day, and
wanna
then
be
all
alone.
you want to do is be alone. Can I please go mow the lawn by
Yes.
myself? Please.
I
Yes.
go look for mushrooms in the woods by
100%.
myself. That's why people go ice fishing, you know?
Yep.
Like it's to sit out in a shed on the ice. You don't really
And drink
care
beer.
about yep.
Yeah.
You don't really care about the fishing.
Nah, you bring the guy that's got the gas powered auger, you cut a couple
Mm.
holes in the ice, and then you only have the shanty over one of the holes anyway, but you got a bunch of other, holes. And I don't know, we used to do it. We had this little thing where it would like cross out, and then you'd put the like little flag down, and when it got a bite, it would pop
Oh yeah,
up, and you
tip
just
ups.
tip ups. Yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And then you just like peek out the shanty door every once in a while, see if you got a fish. But you were mostly just sitting there drinking beer, talking, and yeah, it was
Mhm.
definitely not about fishing.
But now they got like Wi-Fi signals on them and stuff, you know.
Probably
You don't even have
now.
to look out the shanty window. It's just
Probably
like,
now, man. I mean, shit, we used to go fishing when there was no depth finders or any of that stuff. You just had to like know something about rivers and what fish did. And now they can just zoom around, they're trolling motors, and just they can literally see them like a video game.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, GPS for fuck's sake. You know, GPS they'll put you right in the same exact spot. Like I used to have to remember where that tree was on shore, you know? I'm like
Yeah.
kind of do some triangulation in my head. Like, It's like no, now it's GPS. But yeah, I haven't been fishing in a while.
Oh yeah, it's been a hot minute. We're from Michigan, right? There's nobody from Michigan doesn't do some outdoorsy shit when they're a kid, that's for sure. But you get older and you're like, yeah, okay,
I
can
wonder
buy
if they
fish.
do it now. They didn't. We didn't have
Oh
the
yeah,
internet, you know.
yeah, man. My
Till
James
older.
Cruz loves to fish. He's always sending me photos.
Oh, but older. I wonder if like younger kids do it. Like younger kids get out in the woods. Do they even let kids out anymore? They're afraid they're gonna get like hurt, like skin their knee or something,
Every
right?
kid is gonna get raped, molested, murdered,
Yeah.
kidnapped. Yep,
Fall
yeah.
out of
They
the
don't let
tree.
their kids do anything. While they let them lock themselves in their bedroom and get groomed by predators all day.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep, exactly. All right. Well, we're at that point in the episode where we turned into two old white men just complaining about life and all that.
Goddamn
So,
kids.
yeah,
They're drugs. I love it when I go on like 3 hour like podcasts or lives and I like just bitch about like people doing drugs.
yes,
It's like, wait a minute, wait, what? Not these kind of drugs, those other kind of drugs.
exactly. Not drugs.
Yeah, the good stuff, you know. But even here, sometimes I talk to people, and there's still people who are really anti-marijuana and stuff, and they're just like the old school.
Oh yeah.
They're still. But it's strange. I think maybe the people that'll become pro mushrooms might actually sort of like, but they're gonna jump over the weed. Like they'll never be like pro weed people because they kind of see what it does.
Yeah.
To some people, they'll just go pro mushroom and they'll just totally skip over. Like I still hate weed, but I'm okay with mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like I think that'll definitely happen because they have much more of a therapeutic kind of application. Whereas weed still kind of just like, oh, it's just kind of something you get fucked up, you know? It's like a party drug or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's good for anxiety. It's good. I mean,
Oh, I mean, in general, the general public's
yeah,
attitude
yes,
is
I
that
agree.
like two 18-year-old kids sitting on the corner smoking weed, they're just there to get fucked up. They're not trying to like heal themselves.
Exactly. No. Well, yeah, we've talked about that even with mushrooms where, when you're young, nobody's like, oh, there's some mushrooms. Maybe I can heal my trauma. Like as a kid, you're just like, how many drugs are you on right now? 3? Do you want to be on 4? Fuck yeah. What is this? I don't know. Boom. Take it. Because you're young and you're lost and you don't know what the fuck to do with yourself in life. And so you're, just doing your best. Just doing your actual best.
So that'll be the next big thing of like how much stronger are Natalensis than all these other ones. And that'll be the next thing. Somebody's for sure gonna have to come out and say, well, Natalensis are like they're running at 2.5%, and I'll like guarantee that's gonna be it. Somebody's gonna have to come out in order when the sales of the spores lull in about 6 months, they're gonna have to come up with some new marketing scheme. And that'll most likely be, oh, did you know Natalensis, the real Natalensis, the ones that only I have spores of, those are the stronger. They're stronger. Oh, look, my buddy in Colorado who I don't really know. He's completely, I don't know who he is, but he just happens to run an HPLC machine and he tested my shit at 2.5%. Like, wow. Oh, that's amazing. I won 2 cups. What a shock. And he's my buddy. Oh no, shoot! You weren't supposed to know that,
bro. Dude,
no, it's anonymous.
Yes, when you just said the thing, when you saw that thing about that same spore store in both them papers, I was like, God damn. Yes, it's easy to want to just trust. I'm the opposite. I'm not like most of the people these days. I'm 100% into experts because they know shit. And I am very good at finding people who know things and trying to learn things from them because I actually enjoy learning. So if you're full of shit, I find out real quick and then I'm not interested in you because you don't know anything. I want to be around people that know shit and teach me stuff. When I'm out foraging with my local friends, man, these 2 girls I go foraging with all the time, Sarah and Jessica, they fucking know all sorts of shit. I can't not learn stuff from them. They're just like, Jessica makes my ADHD look tame. She is just never not just like absorbing information all the time. Shout out to Jessica Williams. She's awesome. She killed it at Ohio Mushroom Festival this year. was really awesome. Really did a lot of great things there. But yeah, man, like they just know stuff. I like being around people that know shit because I believe that whole saying of like you become the mean of the people you hang out with.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I like to hang out. That's why I'm hanging out with Happy Hyphae. That motherfucker don't need to join no cults and clubs to figure out how to grow mushrooms. He's been doing it for decades. He just figures that shit out on his own. And everybody's going, holy shit. I mean, same with the camera, man. He just said, fuck it, I'm just going to figure this camera out. He's just started figuring out. And I was like, God damn you, Happy. Now I got to sit down and figure my fucking camera out.
Yeah, exactly.
See, it had a positive impact on me.
Yeah, you got to have somebody to look up to, but you got to be careful not to idolize that person. We do a lot of this idolization or idolology or whatever it's called. We do that all the time.
But don't want to do no work. We just want to idolize them. People, it's like people don't even want to do. They don't want to be inspired by him, right?
They just want to be told what to do, told what to say, and what is right, and then so they can pair it and echo chamber that with everybody in their group that knows they're right.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like I wish people wouldn't be like that, but
well,
life's a lot easier when somebody tells you what to do.
It is. It's way easier. Ignorance is bliss. It's a fucking saying, dude. There's a reason it's a saying. It's true. Dumb people are happier. Being smart is a problem.
That's true.
Thinking is a problem. Thinking does not always make you happier. It really does not. I think way too much. Yeah. But yeah, man, like people that just been grown a long time. I mean, you've grown cubes forever. Plus you're a scientist. Plus you know, did your mating studies. You haven't even talked about this too much with me, but in little side work I'm doing here and there, I mean, your advisor, Ronald Peterson, was a mating guru. That guy was doing mating studies up the wazoo. Like, I mean, I can't imagine all the cool shit you learned from him. That's so cool. So, of course, look at everybody that follows you on your YouTube gets to watch you work. And I remember people back in the day were like, oh, look, he spilled that or he dropped that. And it's like, bro, then you ain't in a fucking lab because this guy's a fucking pro. People drop shit. He's trying to film shit while, I mean, yeah, anyway. So if people are ready to listen and pay attention, there's lots of people doing stuff around here and you can learn how to figure shit out. Look at DK figured some shit out, lickety split, natural state figured shit out, lickety split. There's lots of people out there doing cool stuff because they were willing to shut their mouths and listen to people who knew what they were doing. Right. Yeah.
To be a lot more of those people, I think. I think we're just kind of opening. So that's why what I was saying about people getting in the middle of these arguments about nomenclature. Like they're likely to be turned off by the whole scene, and they might just be like, we might push some of these new brilliant people that could contribute a lot. That, you know, say you got a 20-year-old that in 10 years might own his own startup pharmaceutical company or whatever, fucking, you know, and it's like we don't want to discourage those people.
Dude, I just joined a Discord with some guys and just kind of like some of the things they were saying. I never heard of any of them. All of a sudden they're like 3 guys in there are all either finishing their PhD, working on their PhD. They're showing pictures of, oh, look, I was on the mass spec today. I was this, I was that. And it's just like, it's been eye-opening because it shows you how the interface of the internet just does not allow you to know who the fuck people are. I'm right here. Ask anybody who has met me if I'm an act. Ask Happy. Ask any fucking person that's ever actually met me if I'm any different in real life than what you see on the show. I'm not. I do not have that fucking switch.
You're taller.
Oh, yeah. Michael Mama S said that. But, yeah. But, like, other people are not that way. Some people are going, holy shit, the internet? You mean I can be everything I'm not? Oh, I'm a little wimpy bitch, and now I'm going to act like a tough guy? Yeah, that's what happens on the internet, unfortunately.
I always wanted to be a hot, like, 18-year-old girl.
That
Oh wait,
doesn't
no, I
surprise me
wanted
you
to
saying
I
that.
wanted to cuddle with. No, wait, I wanted. Wait,
Oh,
I'm getting
cuddle with.
confused.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's late.
Cuddle with them.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, man. It's life is getting more weird and complicated, dude. I can tell you that. We are in the things that we're doing now and the concerns we have, our DNA is going, what the fuck are we doing
Oh,
right
God,
now?
yeah.
Our DNA is not getting it because our DNA, I mean,
Our brains are not getting it. There's no way. I don't think our brains are going to be able to handle
no,
the
I do
things that
not.
some of my students, my ex-students, I've got them sending me, people from 4 or 5 years ago. These are college age students. They're they're having mental breakdowns like when they're like
100%. Yes.
25 years old. It's like, wow. Like I thought that shit happened. Like they're having midlife crises when they're like 25. These
I
are
can
like
tell
30
you,
getting hormone. They're getting like
yep.
testosterone when they're like 30 because they don't match up to Giga Man or what Giga Chad or whatever that fucking thing. Like they don't look like that dude. I know dudes who are literally getting jacked on steroids, which you can get readily here. They're like
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, can you just like do a couple more sets, man? Like, no, they want everything fast. Pills, injections. And it's like, wow, you're like messing your body up, dude, when you're like
Oh
30.
God. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, there's no resilience. There's no everybody's gonna. I'm telling you, I saw it in the ER in the last 6 years. Every single, it feels like every single day, but definitely every month by month, I see more and more people coming in with nothing more than just the number one diagnosis in the ER is anxiety. Nope, you're not having a heart attack. You're anxious. Nope,
Mhm.
you're not having GI troubles. Well, you are, but they're all related to your anxiety. I mean, and oh yeah, Michael Mom was just saying I think technology has changed our brains. Oh yeah, dopamine circuits and yeah, so there's a book called The Skinner Box Effect. It's based on the BF Skinner research around his little Skinner box, which was basically figuring out that these little fucking mice they press a button, they get a little treat. Oh, cool. And then they figured out, oh, they will press that fucking button forever as long as every once in a while they get a treat. They really are operantly conditioned. It's operant conditioning. A great example is that old chain
Mm.
smoking lady that's on the slot machine all day. This is you flew to Vegas to do this all day? What the fuck? Are you serious? But they do it because this is how we work. And when the internet came out, they hired people. They hired these high level psychologists, psychiatrists, at whatever, all these fucking people to go, how do we make our website more addictive? How do we,
Mhm.
and what they figured out
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
clicking. Clicking. We click all day. We click, we tap, we click, we tap. Think about the stupid ass games we play. Candy Crush. It makes these noises. It's vibrant colors. We are dumb monkeys.
Yes.
Everyone. The smartest motherfucker on earth is still a dumb monkey that can be, captivated by colors and chimes and sounds and that little Skinner box button. We can't help ourselves. And that's everybody now.
Mm.
And yeah, oh, and just even the pacing. If you even time out like children's programming, from back in the day, Mr. Rogers, right? Like there would be a video, a cut, a camera cut, like I don't know, every minute, every 2 minutes. I don't even know what it is. But now all these like Coco Melon and all that, the cuts are like every 2 seconds. Cut, 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 cut. So that's why everybody is claiming they have ADHD now because they have sort of like induced ADHD. They don't really have like that organic born fucking ADHD manic energy that some people have, but they've been groomed into somebody like that because everything's frenetic, everything's all the time. Yeah, there's no way that's not fucking with our neurochemistry.
Mm.
How is it not? And like you're talking about marketing, it's all marketing. We're all being manipulated all the time. Oh, look at those crackers. Why did you buy them? The package looked cool.
Pretty much.
We're all pathetic. I don't, even the like crunchy people are like, no, I don't eat the GMOs and I'm organic. But you bought into the same hype, just in another thing. You're the opposite. You know, you still live in your fancy house. You're just what, eating your granola out of a thin paper bag? Okay. I mean, it's not that different.
It's the perfect time of year. So just tell all your relatives and everything, like, you know what? I'm not going to buy any presents for Christmas. I don't want to be part of this whole marketing scheme and this. They will love you.
Little did I know that the whole the thumbnail for tonight, the crazies, the theme was appropriate. Yes, we're all going a little crazy. We're all going crazy for OCHRACIES. Yes. But I like
somebody
ochras.
just
Somebody what?
Yeah. Somebody was just saying here how the this guy has only been coming to Thailand once a year, and he said every year the more Christmassy it gets. Like they're full on, it's a Buddhist country. They don't give a shit about Christianity or any of that shit. And they're like, this is like Christmas everywhere. It's just like they had like this year Black Friday and all this. There's no Thanksgiving. They don't do Thanksgiving, but they have Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And it was like, what the fuck? It's just they're just selling shit. It's all about selling stuff. I'm sure there's some studies about how more paranoid or ADHD you make people, they probably click more on the online shopping thing, and they probably likely click on buy now. And it's like, it was like old home shopping network kind of thing, except for now it's on our phones. It's like,
yeah, man, all that, or the whole like we were at a Dodger game one time. This was many years ago, and I bought the big beer, and some guy sitting next to me, he goes, "Hey, check this out, man." He had got the medium beer that was, I don't know, $3 or $4 less, and he goes, "Check it out." And he takes my beer. Now, in hindsight, I wish he hadn't done this, but I actually was glad he gave me this moment. He took my brand new full beer, and he had his empty medium-sized beer can or beer glass container, whatever. He poured the large with no hesitation into the medium and for the medium size. And for a second, I was like, "Oh fuck, he's gonna like waste my beer. What the fuck is this guy doing?" My large beer entirely fit in his medium beer container. And he goes, "They got you, bro." And I was like, holy shit. The large beer and the medium beer is the same amount of fucking beer. The one was just like a little taller and the medium was just fatter. And I was like, is there any way in this consumer-driven capitalist society we are not getting fucking had? All the time we're being manipulated. Every time. That's why I like to just wander around in the woods and look for these dumbass little fucking mushrooms, dude. Because it just gets me away from all that crap. Or bring me down here in the lab when my kids are yelling and screaming and tearing the house apart. I'm like, do I want to stop them? No, I don't want them to be on their devices. I want them to be children. Cool, play, be rambunctious, do all that stuff. I'm just gonna sneak down here and get a little myco work done in my little zen solitude down here. Yeah,
I'm sure it'll all get better.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, Ed. It all gets better. History has proven that. Yeah, come on, dude.
Let's get check out, man. Check out, move into the woods, grow mushrooms. Now,
as long as there's some woods for some of us to still move to, that'll be great. Yeah, man. I just saw a video on I think I am seeing it on Instagram. Some like old school 84-year-old Japanese artist. And they asked him some question about AI, and he got real mad, and he was just like, I don't want any part of that. He goes, you don't understand. He goes, it is going to destroy what it means to be a human being. He goes, why are we inventing a thing that is better at everything than we are? Why would you want to invent that? And I'm like, the dude's right, but yet simultaneously I'm like, but I can't wait to see what Chat GPT is going to be able to do next week, because that's what we do. We're just curious, we're lazy. So we're like,
Yeah, you don't have to do that though. I
I hear
don't
you.
think like it's not like an inevitable thing that we have to do. I don't like there's a
Right.
choice to not be
Well,
involved in
I'm
stuff.
hoping that like it'll get a little weird and a little fucking spooky, and at some point in time we're all gonna go, wait a minute, what the fuck are we doing? That's what I'm hoping for. But who knows?
I
We'll
don't
see.
think that will happen. It's gonna have to be a personal choice. It's like a personal
Sure.
choice not to smoke crack and like not
Right.
to walk in front of a bus and like not to do other dangerous things. If people realize that these things are having an adverse effect on their
Right.
mental health, they should stop doing them. There's not
Yep.
nobody really like forcing this stuff down your throat. And I feel like sometimes people complaining about it is almost an excuse for their inaction. Like if you really
Oh,
think it's such a
sure.
bad thing, just don't participate in it.
Right.
It's different if you got kids and like maybe other people that you can't control, but there's a lot of people that you like don't need to participate in Twitter. Like I hear people
Nope.
bitch about X or whatever the fuck it is, and they'll go on and on and on and complain about it. It's like, you really don't like nobody's forcing you to check X,
Nope.
but you want to. But like, and then I hear them
Because
complain
it's
about it
addictive.
incessantly.
Yeah, because they figured out how to make it super addictive. All this
So
crap.
is alcohol,
Yeah.
crack, and heroin, you
And
know.
some people
I
kill themselves because they can't stop using those things.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah, they are addictive.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see
So
it
I'm
causes
with you. I'm
bad
with you.
problems for some people.
Yeah.
It's funny because I don't really do the whole like I'm not into sports and politics and all these like topical events, and I can see people visibly get uncomfortable when I say I don't care. Like they
Oh
look at
yeah.
me like,
They don't
"What's
know.
wrong with you? Like you're not uh,
Mm,
like you don't want to talk about politics? What's wrong with you?"
yeah.
And I'm like, "I don't know, I'm happy. You're not. So I don't want to
Right.
be like you." Like,
Bro.
look, exactly. Like what you're doing now is what I don't want to do. I don't
Yep.
want to be like you. That's why I don't want to talk about this shit.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't bring anybody any joy, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah,
Then they'll
man,
go
that
on and try to convince me about why I should be more like them and get like more irritated. Like, why aren't you like me? And I'm like, yeah, this is why.
yep. Yeah, dude, that's like I told you about that guy in the ER who came in. I think his wife was his wife was the no, he was the patient. And I'm talking to the wife and because he wasn't doing so good. And we get him feeling a little bit better. And then he tries to start talking to me about sports. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, look, dude, I played football, I played basketball. I definitely watched sports when I played, but like the minute I stopped playing those sports, I had lost complete interest in watching other people play them and get really rich. And he looked at his wife and then he looked at me and he goes, well, what do you do? He was
Okay.
so serious. In his world, there's nothing else a man could possibly want to do but obsess over sports. Oh, like obsess over other people playing sports, not even himself.
Hmm.
I was like, wow. And then she laughed. She goes, I don't know. Why don't you ask him? And I go, oh, I mountain bike and I this and I that and I do bonsai. And he just, at that point, I might as well have said, I might as well just have been speaking a foreign language to that guy. He could not relate to me. So that's what's happening with those people. They can't relate to you saying, I truly don't care. Like I have no interest. They can't process that, man.
You,
Yep.
there's a lot of them, and people want you to be part of their tribe. Like you
That's
got
what
to
it
be
is.
part of
Yes.
their
That's what it is.
yeah.
We don't handle being different well. I mean, right?
Mm.
Like, you remember being at a party as a kid and somebody starts smoking weed and they pass it to you, and if you didn't want the weed, they'd
No,
be
I
like,
didn't hang out with those kids.
what do you want? Why don't you want that? And I'd just be like, yeah, I got to work tomorrow morning. I'm not trying to get too faded tonight. I don't want that. They just want you to be like them. Everybody wants you to be like them, Ed. Right?
That's what they'll buy more stuff if I'm like
and
them,
buy more stuff. Yes.
If I wear all Adidas like tracksuits and shoes and hats, then I buy more Adidas stuff than I'm like them.
Yes.
Yeah, but it goes back to nature, right? The way that like groups of monkeys would recognize each other would probably be based on their scents or some other, I don't know. Maybe they style their hair a certain way.
Probably. That's probably.
But probably more the way they all pissed on each other or something like that. But it's like that group you recognize, like your group and other groups, and then you want to, I don't know, eliminate the other group, their competition.
Yep. All right. Somebody just asked, no. So basically ochraceocentrata, you can read the paper, and you can kind of watch, go back and watch this, but basically these guys thought that they were, going to run sequences that were going to correlate to Natalensis. And they ended up discovering that, the holotype for Natalensis did not match these. And so now they have a new provisional name, ochraceocentrata, which the idea of the paper, I think the big takeaway for me was that, hey, Africa, to our knowledge at this point, doesn't have a cubensis. It has this other thing that's very, very closely related. The morphology, macroscopic features are very similar. Just a couple teeny tiny little, subtle differences. But that it is, the ITS is different. I have not run the sequences or the alignments to look at that more specifically, but essentially, it's a little bit different. So no, the idea is most things that people are growing right now are probably what is now potentially going to be called ochraceocentrata. And as Ed pointed out earlier, go ahead, it doesn't matter, because Ed's long game prediction is it's all just going to be a cube at the end of the day.
A cube is a cube, man.
Yeah. Man, dude, so I'm doing all the sequence validation work, although I'm a total slacker. I just got too much shit going on. But it didn't take me long to realize that there are certain genera that are just a hot fucking mess.
Yeah.
And they really, even consulting with the quote experts of that genus, the experts don't really have much figured out. Because some things fit in little bins and little packages real nicely, and some things don't. And, so we're spending all this time going, no, this is this, and that's this, and that's that. And Ed is gonna, on his tombstone one day, it's gonna say, I told you they were all cubes. That will be, yes.
Let's say I'll throw in that Chuck Suniensis shit too, the fucking Chinese cube. We'll just call it the Chinese cube.
That's probably the original cube. That's probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little bit wondering about their kind of whole biogeography thing there.
Knows,
I'm not really. That sounded like highly speculative. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm probably not going to China and wandering around the jungle anytime soon. I can tell you that. So yeah, all the Chinese stuff. Plus, they care about mushrooms. So if I come out of the woods with some fucking mushrooms in China, they're gonna that shit is not gonna go well, is my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I should. My friend lives in Yunnan. She's a professor there in Yunnan. I didn't know that's where that specimen came from.
Mm.
I don't know.
You gotta bug her. You gotta get her to send you a cat,
yeah,
bro.
I know. Yeah, she told me she loved me one time and wanted to have my babies, and I rejected her. So maybe not.
Probably not gonna get a cat from her then. No.
Yeah, probably
you
not.
could.
But, oh, by the way, I didn't want to have sex with you like 15 years ago. Can you get me this magic mushroom?
Could you go find a mushroom for me?
Yeah, can you help me out?
Yes.
I'll send you some.
Oh,
I don't know. One of my new crosses.
you're like,
Remember with
I
the
will.
cross you wanted to make with me that we never did because
I have
thought you
many
were a
crosses
psycho.
available. No, just say I have crosses available now. Use your marketing skills.
I still might have the ability one more cross.
There you go.
Rulin,
No,
if you're out there, man, send me an email.
There you go. Yes. All right.
She might be out there. I don't know.
Oh,
Like
okay.
punching her computer screen right now. You fuck you, Ed.
She's just still.
I'm sorry, Rulin.
She pines for you.
The right
still.
time. Nah,
Yeah.
I doubt it. So that's been filled up with hatred.
Yeah.
Like most like after you spend time with a person for long enough, you eventually develop hatred for them, right?
I
Love,
mean,
hatred. It's like a balance. 50-50.
I have watched enough true crime drama to know that they can be easily conflated, those two feelings. Yes.
Oh man, I watched some forensic one and it's like, wow, even back in the 80s and stuff, people were killing each other for like $5,000 life insurance.
Bro,
claim.
what? Look
Poisoning
at the
people and
Have you read the Bible? Isn't it like the third
No, I
sentence?
haven't actually. That's
the
where
third
my
sentence. It's the third sentence. Cain and Abel. Fucking, it's like one of the first narratives from the Bible is no sooner did God make people than they fucked it all up because I guess God put a fucking tree. It's like, why did you make people? Give them a perfect Garden of Eden and then say, hey,
right.
here's this tree. Well, probably because what tree was that? Tree of knowledge. It's really just a metaphoric story for us being smart, blah, 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 blah. But the first fucking, like, it's in the first column of text in the Bible. And it's Cain was jealous of Abel, and so he fucking murdered his brother. It's like the first story about people right there. Yes.
Yeah, I know that story. I just didn't know what part of the Bible or whatever it's from.
Early.
I don't have this kind of literature laying around.
Out of the gate. Yes.
I got journals from 1995, but I don't have a Bible laying around.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah, people are nasty. And I think they're just the propensity for violence in people like really surprises me. Even in the magic mushroom community, I'm like, wow, these people are violent. Like, let me not go to any forays ever. Like, I'm never, ever, ever gonna come to a foray like in the US. Because I know people will like beat me up. No, there will be people
I'll kick their fucking ass, Ed. Don't you worry.
No. Well, see, that's
no
the
one's
thing.
gonna touch you.
I don't want to provoke. I don't want to provoke.
They won't.
Fights.
They won't. No one will. No one will.
No, I don't want anybody to. I don't want any fighting at all. Like, I don't care if it's defending me or fighting, whatever. It's like the idea that people like constantly like threaten to beat each other up is a little bit like weird to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a pacifist.
Yeah, I try to be. Sometimes there's really only one way to solve a problem, but yeah, when you get older though, then it's more like when you were young, dude. I don't know what your school was like, but fights were just all the fucking time. Like if you went to a party, real good chance you were gonna get in a fight, some level of some fight all the time. But the older you get, there's more complications now. Now you're like, I gotta be around for these kids. I can't go to jail. It's a little more complicated. Yeah.
You should like start Muay Thai or something, do it in a ring.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. Cool, man. All right. Well, it's midnight. I got to get up super fucking early per usual.
Oh yeah, I got to pour some agar plates.
Yeah. Oh, we're leaving to go visit family for Christmas here shortly, and yeah, my list of myco tasks are longer than I think time I have to do them. Yeah.
And then putting the farm on pause kind of sucks when you're. Yeah. That's why I never go anywhere.
I'm with you. Yeah. Yeah, man. My wife loves going out and socializing, and I'm like, oh, do I want to go spend another 3 hours and talk about literally nothing with people who don't actually care about me or what I'm doing? No. I'd rather do this. I'd rather do a podcast. Yeah. Oh, they like my microdoses. They do like that, but
I'm sure they'd be enthralled by your Natalensis versus okra.
Bro, I can say this They all know I have a podcast, and I can say this with extreme confidence because I know none of them watch it. So I got nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Be like the celebrity power, that clout.
Yeah. Do I look like I give a fuck about any of that? I do not.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I bet
you should though, because that's what matters, and that's what'll make you happy. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the groupies, you know, all that. Like, oh yeah, man, I was on this podcast. I did a live the other day. Still waiting for all that trim, you know, man. It's like, oh,
bro. Now I know we are like about the same age and come from the same place because you just said trim. God, I remember when we called women trim. I don't.
Gotta be careful with these words now, man. There's like some words. I'm probably a misogynist now. Oh wait, I was anyway. Oh wait.
Yeah.
I got canceled. Oh wait, I think I got. Yeah, that happened already too.
Interesting times we live in. Interesting times. So many options, so many decisions, so many things to do wrong, and have so many people to remind you about them. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It is interesting.
I don't think politics are in our future.
Definitely not in mine. No. Dude, I was almost a poli-sci major. I was really into politics as a kid. And then, fortunately, before I turned 19, I had an epiphanal moment and realized that my ideological fantasy of how I thought the world should be and that I was going to go pursue and try to go to Washington and make that happen. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not going to change the fucking world. Like, I'm not going to change the way Washington, D.C. works. What are you doing, dude? Thank God I got the fuck out of that track. I had 2 friends who went into politics and working in D.C., and they are the most miserable people. Absolutely, that I know. But they can't get out of it. They're pot committed. That's all they've ever done. And you working in Washington, D.C., if you don't work in Washington, D.C., that resume just looks like, what do you want me to do with this? This does not work anywhere else, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, dude. Well, this was great. It was fun to, get into the paper a little bit. And I think most importantly, it just lets everybody know that just because a scientific paper has been written and soon to be published after peer review, it doesn't necessarily change very much for people. I hope the takeaway for most people is just, as of right now, tentatively speaking, no cubes in Africa, ochraceocentrata, and that almost nobody actually has the real Natalensis, and that's all forthcoming. So really, this paper is really the harbinger of not figuring much out yet in our community anyway. No, not much increase in resolution, really making things a little more complicated for all us mushroom cultivators. So make your own decisions, do what you want. You can play the Ed Grand game, and you can just say fuck gnats and whatever they end up being. You can, John Workman said, I think they're going to be difficult to cultivate and their people are going to lose interest real soon. But I tell you what, everybody loves these ochras for sure. People seem to love Natalensis, ochras, whatever you want to call them. I can tell you, I don't know if on a macro dose they're my favorite, but they're great microdosing mushrooms for sure. Myco Mama's got a million fucking people that'll tell you how much they love them. So whatever you decide to call them for now, if you like them, that's all that matters. Just like your mushrooms.
Yep.
It's that easy.
Yeah. This is a great talk. I actually feel like I have a much more deeper understanding of all of these things. We haven't really talked about this stuff in a while.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, it's good.
It's kind of good to get it circulated in the brain anymore, but probably within 3 hours, I'll probably be back to like, yeah, let me go grow some mushrooms and not really worry about the name.
I mean, my absolute favorite quote of all time, and I am a bit obsessed with quotes, but my favorite quote to date is by Thomas Martin, who's some old, like, sort of Catholic priest type dude. But he once said, when ambition ends, happiness begins. And, you couldn't have told me that when I was 19 years old. Full of ambition. Young man, full of ambition, gonna do a million and one things, and thought doing all those things was gonna make me so happy. And I am now very much when ambition ends, happiness begins. Every time I get overly ambitious, it does not make me happier. Every time I go, instead of worrying about getting all these things I want, how about I focus on enjoying what I have? Every time I do that, I get way happier. I mean, when MycoTrex goes down to Mexico, everybody down there is making considerably less money than we do here in the United States. They have less resources. The streets are crappier. The buildings are crappier. It's not a third world country, but it does not have the money and capital resources and infrastructure that America does. And I can guarantee you the average Mexican is way happier than the average American. You can just see it in how they talk and interact and are kind, and sure, the cartels they're shitty people in Mexico. I'm not trying to say it's like a perfect place, but all the people we're around are pretty nice, seem to be happy. So I guess maybe, yeah. And Martha just said, like, come to Colombia. Yeah. Having shit doesn't make you happier. Now, if you're hungry and you have no food, that's probably not going to make you very happy. But yeah, like, things don't make you happy. Doing things can make you happy. I love doing things, but anyway, all right, I digress.
I might go to I'm gonna go visit Martha in Colombia.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah,
I really love Thailand though, so I don't know if I probably will leave.
You got, yeah, man. So we're one of these times we're gonna get you to go to Mexico. We gotta get you down there one of these times. But if not, maybe we can entice you. Don King, he's gone down there, planning out a trip down there. So he keeps talking about wanting to take MycoTrex there. We have talked about going to Thailand. It is a long fucking plane ride.
Yeah, it is.
It's long.
That's the problem, me going back there. It's also a long plane ride for me.
Yeah. Same with, like, man, at the last NAMA, Noah Siegel gave a talk on New Zealand. And the Cortinarius pictures he showed, were just un-fucking real. And he was like, I've never been, and this guy's well-traveled when it comes to looking for mushrooms. He's like, I have never been anywhere like New Zealand in my life. So I definitely want to go to New Zealand sometime. But again, it's a big old fucking plane flight. Mexico's right here, man. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. So easy to get to. No stress. Easy peasy. Colombia, a little bit longer, but still not that bad. Central America, great. Northern Latin America, awesome. New Zealand, that's a cost, man. That plane ticket ain't cheap. And that 18 hours on a plane is no joke. I have only done it for one trip, and when I did, I was like, man, next time I do this, I need some carfentanil and just fucking knock myself out for 20 hours. They're going to have to revive me when I get there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. All right, man.
We
I got to go to bed. It's this is what we do after midnight. We say, goodbye. Oh yeah, goodbye, like last week. Oh, you know what happened last week? Yeah, we do that every time, man.
Gonna have to pee soon too.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was great. I'm sure we'll do some more talks. It was really cool to see Alexander in the chat, and all the guys talking today said, they're really looking forward to coming on and really talking about the research once it's published. So we'll do another episode. Hopefully, get a good number of those guys on to really get into what they did, how they did it, what they figured out, what the ongoing research is looking like. I do know that they're trying to, get some stuff done with Natalensis as well. So that little team might be the ones that finally put some of this to bed, and something a little bit more conclusive happens. And then at the end of the day, though, just like Ed keeps reminding us, we're just growing mushrooms. We grow them, we eat them. They make us happy. It's really that simple. It's just what we call them. If we call them the right things, it will change everything. Yeah. All right,
I'm gonna
man.
start calling him Bob.
There you
Bob
go. Yeah,
and Jim.
Gavin. Have you tried my Gavin? Oh man, my Gavin isolation is amazing. You got to try it. Yeah, the Chad, little stomach irritation,
What
but
about my Karen? You should my albino Karen. That's a fucking ripper.
ooh,
That's a ripper. That's what the Australians say. That's a ripper. No, it's just ripper.
Yeah,
just ripper. Yeah, it's not a ripper. Just
yes.
ripper.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. Well, this was great. We'll do it again. I just so everybody knows, there is a very good likelihood. I do not think I will be doing a podcast next week. It's just it's right around the holidays. I just got too much going on.
Dude,
but
I totally forgot Christmas. I forgot about Christmas.
Yes, Christmas is a thing. If you love Jesus, you'll never forget it.
I know that's the problem. I don't.
I think Jesus was so cool. Anyway, I think I will have I have a pretty big, pretty awesome, incredible guest for December 30th. I will be back in town, and if that one all comes together, I think everybody's gonna have a real good time with that podcast. And then we got some pretty exciting stuff happening in January. So it should be a good time. This is what we do now. That we talk to all the cool motherfuckers in this community. Just myceliate, man. That's what we're doing. Go check out North American Myco on Instagram. See all the juicy stuff I've been working up. Get a little bit more into kind of me and what my journey has been like, particularly over the last year, with a little bit of a NAMA bent. Pretty mushroom photos. I spent quite a bit of time working up a little video I posted today. Go check that out. Just trying to give you guys a little more insight and enticement into my little mycophile lifestyle over here. So, all right. And you guys already know youtube.com/@Edward Grand. If you want to fucking step up your game in the lab, this guy is just giving away information that all the other people would be charging money for. Go watch some videos, and if you really want to go next level and you want to get some, some courting and some schmoozing and I don't know, not top secret information, but if you just want a more cohesive approach to things, you've been doing some classes as well, right? Like some pay to play classes. How has that been going?
Really well, actually. I was
Nice.
quite surprised. Might do another one in January.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll try to.
Yeah, man. I keep trying to resist all that stuff, but some people just that's what they want. It's like I was talking about with the shoes. They want to go, I paid for the class. I got all the information. I was the focus. I got to, I got more attention. Some people want that and need that. Some people go, fuck that. That's stupid. Cool. That's not for those people, but some people really love it. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah. If you don't like it, don't sign up for the class. That's another thing I'm stranging. It's not like somebody's stealing your money or something. Right. I don't know. Yes, like, why do people get so excited about this? No, information should be free. Well, yeah, go watch my 500 hours of YouTube videos.
You have the audacity, Ed. You have the audacity to run a class online. You have the audacity. What do you think you are? What do you think are like some guy that actually has a PhD in my? Wait a minute. Never mind.
After I went to school for like, he has every right
to fucking. You were a professor for umpteen years. Yes. You get to teach a class and charge some money for it. Jesus.
People get so excited about it. Like, I don't understand, but whatever.
Karen's. Karens and Kevins. Yeah, the Karens and Kevins
the
of the
Kevins
world.
now,
The
too.
trolls. They all grow up to be Karens and Kevins. Yeah. Yeah, man. All right, dude. So we're going to leave on that note, guys.
Bye, Kevin.
Ochraceocentrata is the takeaway. No cubes in Africa. Unless you're Ed, then they're all cubes. And yes, somebody needs to isolate or breed a strain called Karens. That's a good idea. That can be my Christmas present. Someone do that and send me a swab set, and it just says Karens. That would be great. All right, guys. All right, I'll say goodbye to you, Ed. Take care. I'm sure we'll chit chat a little bit over the holidays, but hopefully you have a good, not too Christmassy holiday over there in Thailand.
It's gonna get down to like 60, 65 again. Gonna be freezing.
Yeah.
I might go to the beach.
It got pretty warm here for today. It's like in the 50s, but yeah, that's gonna go
too
away,
bad.
So.
Yeah.
All right, dude. All right, take care. Enjoy your day. All right, guys. Ed Gran. Colorful, entertaining, educational, intelligent, wise, all the things you want in a PhD mycologist who grows cubes in Thailand. That's what you want. He delivers. Anyway, I had a great time tonight. I hope you guys did too. I hope everybody who thought they were going to know the 5 things they needed to say to go tell everybody what was up and all that. Hopefully you guys are not too upset. Yeah, like I don't think, I don't know if there's really almost anything that's going on in our community right now that needs to be fought about. We have been growing and continue to grow mushrooms. We're all setting an example. We're all putting out the level of work and energy and quality of mushrooms that we want to be putting out there, whether we're giving them away to our friends, whether we grow them for ourselves, whether we grow them to take pictures of them and show them off on Instagram. Well, that doesn't really work anymore. Whatever we're doing it for, let's just make sure that we're enjoying ourselves, having a good time, and not taking it too seriously that we think it's appropriate to endlessly argue with people all the time. I think that is my hope for the community. Let's cooperate. Let's encourage each other. We can debate, that's fine. But let's keep it friendly. Let's not get nasty. I see it turn nasty so much. It just saw that in my server. It's not cool. So anyway, hope you guys all have a happy holidays. I will not have a podcast until after Christmas and New Year. Well, no, I guess I'll have one right before New Year's. And Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and all those good things. All the winter solstice, ancient holidays and all that everybody celebrates. And most importantly, just relax, get out of them phones, connect with people, say nice things to people. That's really at the end of the day, I think what we could probably use a little bit more of. So, and until then, just go grow some mushrooms.